All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Heroic Nation podcast. So here we go. All right. Delayed a week, but we're back on schedule. And hey, that's just life sometimes. And sometimes things get busy and things get unavoidable. And there you go. Right. All right. So what do we got going on? I'm not going to talk about too much today because our podcast ran long, but it's a really good one. Actually, let's just get into it. All right. So this is a conversation that I had with Eric Reynolds. Eric is known on Instagram as Keto50. So that is Keto, Keto, 5, the number 5, Five, and then O, the letter O. Okay, so Keto50. He is on Instagram under that, as well as another page for cops and campers, which I'll get into in just a second. But very, very, very inspiring, interesting story for sure. Eric is a retired Boynton Beach police officer who went from overweight, unhealthy, to finding the keto diet, and then transforming his life. Right. So we talked about that, and actually, it's on the back end of a very traumatic shooting in which he had a hellacious car chase into a shootout, into getting shot, into killing the perpetrator, into kind of a spiral into hell. Right. And then from there, he dug himself out, finding the keto diet, and then revamping his entire life, right? So, like, it's a really cool story. And that's why, if you're for keto, if you're against keto, it really doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter at all. And, like, what you have to remember is that nutritional protocols are tools, right? A ketogenic diet is a tool. It is for a specific thing. John Wellborn talks about cyclic keto for head injuries and head trauma and that kind of thing. Eric talks about it in regards to basically controlling his life, right? Bringing things back into his control. And then, after this discussion, it was pretty clear that, like, using the ketogenic diet gave him control of his diet, his nutrition, and his health, which then, by proxy, created control over his mental health and his life. Right, so he literally used the diet to harness control and bring things back into an internal locus of control, which, when you're talking about mental health, PTSD, that kind of stuff, like, is hypercritical, right? Agency and gratitude, those two things. So it provided him with both of those. So to me, it's like, oh, keto's bullshit, whatever. It doesn't matter, because he was on a downward spiral, and finding the ketogenic diet saved him, right? Not because specifically of the protocols, I would say, right? He might say something different, but I would say, based on hearing the story, it's got a lot less to do with the protocols and a lot more to do with control and consistency. And if you want to do that through keto, awesome. If you want to do it through the vertical diet with stand efforting, awesome. If you want to do it through Weight Watchers, it doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't. It's a tool for a specific thing. And I think it was Mark Bell that talked about this a while back, where it's like, this is kind of an aside here, but the person that you are today is not who you'll be in a year. So maybe an all plant-based diet in a year would be appropriate for you. We don't know, right? It's just all meat, all plant, combination of the two, omnivore. They're tools, right? They are tools. Ketogenic, intermittent fasting, they're tools, right? Sometimes they're appropriate, sometimes they're not. Just like me trying to build shit. I don't really know how to, so I hack my way through it. A lot of times I use tools inappropriately, and it's like, dude, that tool shouldn't be used for that, but you're trying it, so more power to you. It's not going real well, but you can do it easier, right? If we set it up differently, if we set it up in a way that makes sense, that the tool works, that we align things, and the tool then works for what you're trying to do, right? Nutrition's the same way, workouts are the same way, mental health is the same way. You got to find the right tool for the right job at the right time. And that's what he did. So it's very, very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. Very cool story. And it was worth the extra time. Usually I try to keep these to an hour, hour and a half. This went almost 2, and it was worth it. It was totally worth it. So take the time, listen to it, and then on the back end of that, we started talking about cops and campers. Now being retired, he is like traveling the world, man, having adventures, homeschooling his kids. It's cool shit. So pay attention to it, and yeah, if you got questions, hit me up. You can find Eric on Instagram, and enjoy. Done that
Yeah.
before.
Hey, I'm doing a selfie. Yeah. I lose track sometimes and I'm like, I'm not trying to like big time.
All good, man. All good. Dude, thanks for jumping on. I appreciate it.
No, no problem, man. You caught me at a good spot. I got good Wi-Fi till next Friday. We go back to Alabama where our camper is, and it's shady there. I got to find different places to go, different buddies I've met, other military guys that they don't want to be bothered all the time, so I got to time it.
Yeah, you think Elon Musk would have invented something that would take care of that by now? Wi-Fi shouldn't be a problem.
It's a little pricey. It should be free. Come on.
Yeah, cool, man. So where are you right now? Like, where are you located?
Right now, we're at the family compound in Boynton Beach, Florida, where I was a cop. So it's like brutal to be here. I hate
Okay.
coming back here. It's my wife's family, it's her house. We got family that lives in it, so we come back and visit. And it's my big fat Greek wedding. So I'm going from camping life to, and they're all Turkish. So it's like Turkish being spoken everywhere. And then I hear Edik once in a while will pop up. So it's just a train wreck. And it's 18 years. I still haven't adjusted to it. I was just saying yesterday, I was driving around town and man, everywhere I was, man, because I don't drive around this. It's been 5 years since I've really driven around that city. And it's every corner, dude, every freaking apartment complex, everywhere,
Yeah.
dude. It's just I'm like trying to think. I was really trying to tell my kids the good things. Like I helped a guy break his window to get his keys at the CVS over there. It was nuts, man. It's just
Yeah.
it's sad, and that's why we don't usually get together from the same department a lot. We share the same trauma. I'd rather go meet a guy that doesn't have the same trauma, and somehow we bond over that. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So funny story. I work where I work now is I'm on day shift a little bit further north. So it's not the same kind of busy. So like when I worked it was like typical shit, like
Yeah.
shootings and pursuits and like all the stuff that every city has. I'm bringing my daughter back from a track meet when we went through the south end of town. And so I'm there, and very rarely do I cruise through that end of town with the whole family. So
Yeah.
it's all of us in the van cruising through, and I'm like, all right, you guys are about to get the tour. I threw a dude off of that porch. I chased a guy down that alley. We had a shootout in that. I shot a guy over here. And my wife was like, are you kidding me? I was like, what do you think I've been doing for 17 years? Hanging out with my buddies sometimes, but not
Yeah. I could tell you the diners too. Don't get me
right.
wrong, but
And that was on one stretch of road. That wasn't even the whole.
yeah, I did a video yesterday. I don't know if I'm going to put it out there, but I quit drinking like almost 2 years ago, and I started getting into gummies to help me like relax at night and go to sleep. And I had this big plan of starting some Rasta 50, the police gummy bear line. And True Leaf didn't want to hear from me. Cure Leaf didn't want to hear from me. So I'm like, probably gotta have to find my own farmer or something. But I was at it's called Move, and it's like a marijuana shop. So I'm like, it's crazy. I'm buying weed in the city where I was a cop patrolling, where we used to bust people all the time. And next door is a pharmacy, old pharmacy, privately run business. And 2001, when I first started in January, within a week, they had a burglary there, and they caught the guy inside because his car was still backed up. And they brought K9 in because he wasn't coming out. And as soon as they entered the door, shots were fired. And our K9 officer got hit in the hand. He dropped the leash. K9 runs in, door slams shut. Other backup cop pulls the cop that shot away. And then they hear an extra couple of shots fired inside. And then it goes silent. And they end up calling out, trying to get because they ran the other canine guy to the hospital. Now they got to wake up whoever else can talk to the dog. You know, we're only a
Yeah.
small department, 160 people, so we had to call like, "Wake up, Brian, get out here!" And dude, they ended up throwing some tear gas inside to try to chase that dude, and they freaking caught the place on fire.
Oh
And
man.
then they fucking killed that
Oof.
dog. And on the autopsy, the dog turns out that I guess the dog fucking started chewing on the guy, and the guy tried to shoot him and he shot himself because there was a bullet graze on Duke going
Yeah.
up his neck, and they found part of the guy's whatever he was chewing on in the dog's stomach. So he
Oh,
he was silent because it was eaten.
yeah.
That's why he wasn't answering anybody's calls. So that was like my first introduction. The dog died at a police
Yeah.
funeral, because I was when I started, I was a CSO. I did traffic and helped out to get my foot in the door, and because of weed. It's funny, it's come full circle. But I'm talking on this video. I'm like, that's the pharmacy where we lost our first canine, and this is where I'm gonna go buy some
Yeah.
marijuana because I'm a retired cop now. It's just such a crazy, weird world. But the trauma, like you're saying, dude, one stretch of road. I don't think there's an area that there was even the rich area golf course, golf cart accident. And there's
Right.
always something.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah. It's
I wouldn't change it,
the exact
but
same.
I definitely would have done things a little bit differently along the way, though.
Yeah, maybe some, but yeah.
Health wise, I don't mean,
Oh, yeah.
stuff like that. But
Cool. Let's segue back. I want to go back a little bit.
okay.
Tell me about a little bit about your background and like pre-law enforcement stuff, and then we'll get into like law enforcement and your career, and then how you exited.
Okay, so pretty much I'll say it fast, but there's a whole show in itself. So my mom is Detective June Hawkins from Miami-Dade Police Department. She did 30 years down there, a homicide cop, hostage negotiator, gangs, robbery. She was super cop. She got started in 1975. She was Cuban female. That's where my mom and dad met and had me. He was a military guy. I grew up in Miami. So she becomes a cop when I'm 6, does that life. She has a couple boyfriends, couple marriages. They're all cops. They're all dirty, hairy types, guys you don't want to mess with. They're all Vietnam guys, right? And they're all freaking traumatized. So they didn't take no shit. And those guys are also my football coaches. So my dad wasn't around, but I had enough dads teaching me how to be tough, right? And it was just a unique experience. So that was pretty much how I grew up. My mom was always watching over me, football, and then got to go to college, went to Florida State. And during that time, she met my stepfather and Al Singleton, and he's also a retired cop from Miami-Dade Police Department. And he was a sergeant, same amount of time, about 30 years. So their claim to fame is they're actually both star characters in the show Griselda on Netflix. They combat Sofia Vergara, who's pulling off being Griselda Blanco, the Colombian hit lady. And my mom's the star cop in the show. They got Juliana Martinez, who's a Colombian girl. I'm sorry. Yeah, she's Colombian from Hialeah. And with my mom being Cuban, we ended up getting a call from Netflix and they ended up pairing them up to go over scripts. So my mom got hired by Netflix to be an advisor on a show that she's one of the characters. It was insane.
Oh, that's crazy.
So it got released last year. You can find it on Netflix. My stepdad's in it too, his character. And so it's just surreal that all that time when I was a kid playing football and I thought that was the world, they were out there doing like some real dangerous stuff. My mom was part of the wiretaps, part of the Centec task force. I mean, she was known as the memo queen because she knew how to put a sentence together. So it was pretty like she advanced pretty fast. When I was graduating college, I didn't know she was going to be Griselda fame or anything like that. I just knew I didn't know what path I really wanted to go. Here I am with a criminal justice degree, and she was telling me to go federal system, like custom at the time it was Customs, Secret Service, FBI, Border Patrol, something like that. And I was like, all right. And I started applying, and wasn't I kept getting that thin letter in the mail, that little thin one and it was like a credit card denial. So
What year did you start? Did you start
okay,
applying?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I graduated Florida State in 1994. And then I started catching shoplifters at Macy's. And I started moving up the ranks there. Like I got my own store, my own team, started doing really well in Boynton Beach, Florida, which is near West Palm Beach, Boca
Mm,
Raton, that kind of area.
yeah.
And I thought, hey, I guess this is my path. So I'll go security side. There's a big market there, private industry. I was always a little worried about I could be fired at any time. That was I didn't have the protection of a union. And so meanwhile, I'm blasting shoplifters in the 90s because you're allowed to chase them then. I would chase them through Mervin's, through Winn-Dixie. Even if they dropped the stuff, I didn't care. We want you because you're a number at the time. You got raises based on how many apprehensions you got.
I think that that's still the case some places, man.
I had helped out recently at a place and you can't touch them. You can't even cuff them. And it's just backwards. You can't even be armed. So I was like, I tapped out. I didn't want any part of that because I knew it was going to happen. I can't pat this guy down. You kidding me? Yeah, it was wild. And that Boynton Beach kept saying, hey, why don't you sign up with us, man? You get a Batman belt, you get a police car,
Right.
and a pension. And I was like, at the time, I was about 28, 29. I'd done a couple different stores, Saxford Avenue and stuff like that. And I knew how that end of things was going to work. I was going to get into some type of operations management. I wasn't going to be catching bad guys. What happens in police work, right? If you go up too far, you get away
Right.
from the actual police work. So, yeah, and then I applied at Boynton Beach and submitted all my paperwork and got disqualified. So this 1997, 98, I'm getting disqualified because of my marijuana history back at Florida State.
Uh,
So at the time, you couldn't smoke weed at my department after age 21. I graduated at 24. I'm smoking a joint my senior night, swimming in the Florida State fountain, running from campus police. So I had trouble passing the polygraph, so I was lying all the time. Boynton DQ'd me based on that. So I started applying at different departments, even my mom's own department. Took two polygraphs with them, failed them both. I just couldn't beat it because I was trying to lie about buying dope because they were digging. See what else? I understand it. So it just looked like that door was slamming shut. And then one of my mom's friends ran a smaller police department in Miami Beach called Sunny Isles Beach Police Department. And she's, hey, we're hiring dispatchers. And they're not as strict on the drug history because you're not actually on calls. You're not going to be tempted. They just want to know, can you do the job as a dispatcher? So I was like, all right, maybe that's my foot in the door. So I actually applied, got the job there, and I did it for 6 months. I went to some dispatch training, and I wasn't a big typer, so I was trying to get with it, like the ladies. Not that men aren't typing either, but at the time, I was more female dominated, what I
Mhm.
was seeing. And meantime, I kept looking back at Boynton Beach because it's 2 counties over. I was driving like an hour, but I needed this job to get my foot in the door. So I ended up calling Boynton Beach in 2000, 2001, and they're not hiring dispatchers, but they're hiring a traffic aide where you get hired as a civilian, but you get the uniform, you get a car, you get a little money to start. So I took it and I got my foot in the door, learned how to do traffic crashes. I learned the radio. I learned the geography of the city without the pressure of getting there to save someone's life. It was getting there to save two cars bumped into each other.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the whole threshold was different. And I went to traffic homicide school. The first part of it down here is like a 3-part process at scene, and then it goes further. So I went to that and I was like, well, maybe I'll get really good at this because I heard money in the insurance industry as a THI expert, you can make
Mhm.
money, whatever. And then after about 6 months, I was doing really good. I was getting it, and I'm 31 at this point. And I applied. I sent a memo up the chain of command. My mom helped me write it, Miss Memo, right? The memo queen. She knew how to write chain of command letters. And it went straight up to the chief. And it even said, great memo from the assistant chief. And I'm like, damn, my mom got a straight A, just like she did back in the day. I was like a B student, and she got mad at that all the time because I was thinking about girls and football. And she's like, if you would just try a little harder. I'm like, I don't care. So that memo got me into the academy in 2002. And I pretty much did that whole career until I retired in 2019. But we can get into the different parts of the career and even my shooting where I got shot and had to kill a guy too. Where do you want to go next with the career? You want to hear about different units, or do you want to hear about my body type at the time? I was about 6 foot, 215, 220, football player type, shaved head. I look like the guy that would take the door down to go in for the entry team. That's pretty much that's what I look like. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was you when you got hired.
Yeah.
Okay. How big was your academy class? Is that a pretty big? Is it a regional academy, or does Boynton Beach have their own academy? How'd that work for you?
It's because it's a municipality and we're part of Palm Beach County, Florida. The county usually runs their own school, but we had ours at, I think it was Palm Beach. I guess it's called Palm Beach County School or something. Anyways, they had their own facility that everybody sent their guys. PBSO, the county, every other city, probably what happens in other places. And so you're mixed. You got a guy from the next city over, you got some guy from the deputy's spot. And there was about 30, 35 to start. And by the time we really got into it by week 2, there's probably like 25, 26. And it was mixed. People are like, oh, yeah, the thin blue line. You guys are racing. I'm like, man, you know how many people I work with? We're like salt and pepper, man. We got so many mixed, at least down here. We had Creole speakers. We had Spanish. It was hard actually to find a basic old white guy in the class. I'm half Cuban. My dad's an Irish guy, so I can play both sides sometimes, but I don't get accepted by either side. But yeah, it was it was a pretty cool experience. It wasn't like now where you could raise a card and say I'm stressed out. They pushed you and they wanted to weed through you, but it wasn't as hard as the 10 years before.
Yeah.
They had donuts first day. Welcome to the previous class. We got coffee and donuts and muffins, and we're coming with our uniforms trying to fucking figure out. And I already been tipped off. I knew don't touch the damn donuts because DIs are coming in 15 minutes.
Barf.
But yeah, that's what they're trying to do.
Right.
Damn and we did it to the next class. It's just part of rite of passage. But yeah, it was a pretty cool experience. And with me getting back to the road through in service and stuff like that, I knew most of the cops. I didn't know all the cops and all the bosses, but I knew most of them, and they knew me. So there was a different little respect there, and they would help me in certain situations, maybe where they may have let someone else struggle
Yeah.
because they already knew I was a good guy. Let's help this guy get along. Like a mentor. And that's one of the things we're lacking nowadays. We don't have that middle ground. It's like you're really good cops either get the D Bureau, get promoted, and then you're stuck with this mix of rookies disgruntled guys that can't get anywhere, or guys that have been burned because they were doing too good or interrupt or screwed up command staff's path, and
Yep.
now they're back taking calls, and they're probably the best cop in the whole department. It's always anyway. So yeah, I did a little bit of like bike unit stuff, vice unit stuff, community outreach. One of the best things I did was monitor kids on probation, like first time offenders, like two kids break into a house, commit a burglary. One kid's a career thug, he's going away, but the other kid's maybe it's his first time.
Yeah.
So they'd slap restrictions on him from curfew to going to school to just doing his chores. It was crazy. It wouldn't really say doing his chores, but doing his household duties, the court ordered from the juvenile judge. And we go into these houses, we talk to the moms and dads and follow up with the teachers. And some of them played the game to get off probation. It was about a year. And then they got it squashed, but half of them got more trouble and got sent away. That got us tips on burglaries and murders and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff because the kids know stuff that's going on. So that was pretty cool. And administration change comes along about 2010, and we're going to go to zones. So now we're going to regroup all the units and break everything up. So I'm back on the road now. I'm like, man, 10-8 for calls again. It's been about 6 years. I'd helped out and done overtime details. This is strictly, here's your zone. Get ready, bitch. And I was like, and I liked working the road. I didn't like the politics of the road. Like we're always understaffed. If there was any extra, a guy went home because he's burned out, so he burned
Right.
time. There's always that cycle, right? And I never got any time in the beginning. I mean, I just let it accrue. So now I guess it's about 2011. I started thinking about FTO, getting promoted, D bureau, like getting out of this area. I've already done some of the other stuff. Let me see what I can do. And FTO school, starting to learn more organized crime classes. I'm filling up that grant. I think I got paid $130 a month if I maximize my 80 hours or something with the college degree. And so I took everything I could from radar and everything. I think it's about 2012. I'm going to get into the shooting. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine.
All
Yeah.
right, because that it can get crazy when we get into it. So 2012, it's a regular day. I'm on a 9 to 8:30 shift, so it's like a mid. And I had enough I was a senior enough so I could leave early, burn like 3 hours at the end of shift. So I had it worked into a 9 to 6 instead of 9 to 8:30. That 12-hour shift, we always did 11 and a half because they figured out how to scam us out of overtime.
Right.
We
Right.
voted on it when I was a rookie. I didn't know then. So I'm supposed to be there till 8:30, but I always played basketball on Tuesdays, and I was number 10. So I'd already put in time. I'll be there, fellas. And it's about 5 o'clock. And they sent a bolo out for a bank robbery in the city right next to us. And it was Delray Beach, directly next to Boynton. And it was a black male handgun scene. He had some type of a mask. Oh my God. Imagine he had his face wrapped up. But he would have been able to do that a few years later without any problems. And
Yeah. No
so
issues.
now he runs. I know. 5 years later, or no, 10 years later, I'm walking into the bank with a mask on. Going, what the heck? So he flees, and he was wearing white boots too. I just remember, white boots, and he fled in a white Crown Vic. I'm sorry, a red Crown Vic with a white top. So it's like a hoopty
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
thinking,
That's like a classic bad guy move right there.
I'm like, am I watching a freaking Clint Eastwood movie from the 70s or something? So he leaves the scene, and they don't know which direction. So obviously we have I-95, big highway here. We have US 1. We got side streets. He's in another city, really. And I actually was talking with another officer the other day at breakfast who just killed a guy that came at him with a machete. And he's off on light duty evaluation before they rush you back. That's a whole nother topic. And he was there with me that day because I forgot, like, it's what happened on 9/10 before 9/11. You don't really remember. Well, he
Right.
remembers because he was part of the whole shooting. He was like, dude, we were sitting under the tree talking, and then the bolo went out, and he goes, I went to Ocean Avenue, and you decided to go to Woolbright. When I went to Woolbright Road, which is a road that connects the beach going more westbound to the rest of the city, I see a red Lincoln Town car coming over and has a white top. Not uncommon. We got a lot of old timers in this area and a lot of gangbangers. So he comes over, and I said the other day when I passed him, I was trying to look in the car because I had to turn around. I had to make a complete figure eight or something to get back by the time he went the other direction. So I pass him, and I see his black hand on the steering wheel, and his fingers are tapping. It was just like this looking back. That's one of those things. That's when my trauma memory started. It was like, doink. Remember this moment. He had a big ring on his finger. And I just passed by, and somebody asked me on the radio, because I have the radio and all that stuff, can you see the driver? I'm like, yeah, it's a red, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, black male driver. And they're like, all right, we're sending units. I had to make a U-turn to get behind him. And when he made his right and I was going the other way, he went a little bit fast, gunned it a little bit to get ahead. But I was already onto him. So I make the U-turn and I catch up pretty fast. I'm like, dispatch, he sped up, but he's slowing down now. Everything's cool. The tag's a handicap tag, and I start calling out the tag. We didn't have a tag. So handicap tag, Lincoln, maybe it's not the guy, black guy. And it's close, but not enough. And he stops. I didn't hit my lights. He just stops right in the middle of this two-lane highway. So I'm like, dispatch, he just stopped now. So now I hit my rear lights on to let traffic behind me know, hey, this guy, don't crash into me. There's about 4 seconds, dude, 3 to 4 seconds where we're sitting there and yeah, he's just sitting here. And the DUI guy had happened to come on from the city gas pumps and was coming on. So he's waiting to get in the chase further down. He thought we were going to come by and he was going to get behind me. So he starts to come and then the guy just punches it. I think he was waiting maybe for me to walk up to the car or he
Yeah,
was playing it out.
probably. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's the shit that kind of,
Yeah.
keeps me awake at night. What if I would have been a 2-year officer going, sir, your car matches the description?
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
oh, thank God I had enough seat. I just knew to slow is fast. Just take your time sometimes in certain situations. We don't have to rush things. And I think that just came with experience and even catching shoplifters as a store guy. It was like you can't jump the gun all the time. So all of a sudden he takes off and now it's a car chase. I still don't know it's really the bank robber. I'm pretty sure it is. It could be a guy with warrants. South Florida,
Yeah.
everyone's carrying stuff, it seems, drugs and all kinds of stuff. And we have chased the wrong car and they were bad people. So it's happened. And now the car chase is going and the DUI cop, Chris Monroe, gets in behind me. And I don't know it right away because I'm so focused on the Lincoln driving. And he goes through some intersections, sideswipes a couple of cars, trying to squeeze through, goes through a parking lot of a bank. And that's when I pick up Monroe behind me because at the time we're stepping on each other. And that's one of the things that you can train all you want, all that. But when you're focused like that, I'm just trying to call it information. I'm not looking behind me, man. And finally, I saw him because I was turning. I saw the lights reflecting off the bank. So he took over radio. Now I can concentrate on driving. He makes another right, hits another car, keeps wiping cars, and then finally goes down a industrial area with warehouses and mechanic shops and stuff like that. And the right side's the train tracks, and it's called Railroad Avenue. And leads right to MLK, and which is like what always all the comedians make a joke. It's like the most dangerous place to be. So of course I get shot at that intersection. But anyways, I don't know yet. So we're driving, and one of the things that's really, I had a 2006 Crown Vic, right? And it was at the end of its line, and it was one of those cars like the camera system sometimes worked, and I'd turn in the work slip and it wasn't as hammering us like you can't take the car anymore if it doesn't work. Not like it is now. Like they won't even let you take the car. You'll buddy up
Right.
because of liability. But at the time, they let you take a car with one headlight not working because we just didn't have the manpower. Yeah.
All the
So we've
time,
all
man.
ants in the car. So I look up and it's not recording. I'm like, you're supposed to record when the lights come on.
Yeah.
So I remember hitting the record button as we turn Railroad Avenue in the middle of all this. This is how the paranoia is.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're doing the right thing for a car chase because I don't want to get written up.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't want, if somebody dies, I got to make sure I'm doing the right thing. And this is evidence, right? But
Mhm.
that's what I'm thinking about in the middle of a car chase. That just shows how you slowly get thinking about not pulling your gun or making a decision you need to make, right? Because you're hesitant. But I was thinking, I turn that sucker on, it has to go through a cycle. Yeah. So we're going through stop sign. I mean, it's a scene from a movie. And it goes through the stop sign. I go through the stop sign, and then he tries to take a left turn really tight, like getting over to the left side of the road. And he ends up crashing into another car, like head on. His back end pops up, smoke everywhere. And then I roll up on him pretty fast because I wasn't expecting a sudden stop. The way
Yeah.
he was going looked like he was going to work his way to 95. So boom. I'm like, oh shit. So now I'm throwing in park, jumping out, undoing my seatbelt. And I actually did it all at the same time. I got pretty good at it. Just leave your seatbelt off. I never did it. I saw too many people get freaking killed. And nothing in my life was ever going to be that quick. And this situation was one of those ones. And I was just able to, as soon as he crashed, undo it, park, get out. And as soon as I got out of the car, I saw the door starting to open. And well, was it going to run? What's the deal? And it was like, but it was like at scene from a movie, and the whole ground's starting to chop up around me, and I start moving to my left as I got my gun out. I'm firing back now, almost like if they had a body camera or if they had another point of view, because all I had was my dash camera, and Chris had his because we didn't have body cameras in 2012, and I'm sure I may have done some gangster shit. I might even been high stepping. And I got to this little pole that was a telephone pole is nearby. And he couldn't get the door open enough to shoot. He didn't know to shoot through the window. And at that moment, he's trying to reach around the door. And Monroe starts engaging, so he starts shooting at Monroe. Meanwhile, his hand's on the door, that ring, because that shows up in crime scene photos later. It's pretty wild. So he's trying to shoot at both of us. And I'm peppering the car. And I think I'm getting him. I'm seeing the window explode, but he's like a fuck. I'm sorry. He's like a ghost. And I've done some nice podcasts in this keto carnivore world. So I got to make sure I don't drop too many. Oh my God, that guy's traumatized. So Monroe ends up coming to my flank with me, and we start just laying rounds down. He's still moving. He's seeing the door rock back and forth. And, growing up in a household full of guns, I wasn't a gun guy. I didn't shoot all the time. I didn't like, I did it when I had to. And then I did it when I was on the bicycle unit. We would just have time to ride by the range and shoot some rounds. It was just for me when it was forced, it wasn't as much fun. And then we didn't really, the training throughout our whole department all the time was always forced because I had to get it in and it came when you were tired. It was just not a good way to do it. So, anyways, at the time I'm shooting, some tells me running out of rounds, dude. And I see the slide pop up right at that point. I reload, and it was just surreal that I knew, like some told me, because of enough shooting throughout my career, I had a mental timer, almost like
Yeah.
playing sports, leading the receiver on a pass or something. You just have that.
Mm.
And it was at that point, it says, dude, you're running out of bullets. And all of a sudden the slide goes back, reload, back in the fight. And there was a point where he was still moving, and Monroe and I approached the vehicle. Yeah, so we walk up to the vehicle or skip up or whatever, and we put about 4, 5, 6 rounds. I'm in shorts. That's the only time you see me in the whole video. The video goes all over YouTube and the news, and you see Monroe dancing around. But there's a point where one cop is coming out at the same time we're shooting through the window, and he's trying to get a different angle, and he's getting a little too close to the crossfire, and you
Yeah.
see him get pulled back. Everyone thought that was me getting pulled back, but I was way over near the driver's side door. I'm not going to be between him and my vehicle because that's where he was shooting, right?
Yeah.
So he gets pulled back. And so if anyone's looking for a reference, if they watch my video, when that cop gets pulled back, look at the driver's side door. And that's where you'll see us engaging. And that pretty much ended it. I could see me putting it into the meat of the body. We back up. I felt one of the SWAT guys tap me on the shoulder, and he's like, Eric, we got this. And I'm like, all right, you guys got the big guns. So I start backing away, and I start feeling the pain in the foot. I'm like, oh, man. And I look down, and I got 3 holes right through my shoe. And then I also got a bullet hole through my right shin that grazed right by the shin on the outside. So it just missed my shin bone,
Yeah.
which that one would have taken me out of the fight. The one
Yeah.
on my foot, I would have been in the fight on one leg, is what I was saying.
Right.
It would have snapped right there. But at least the foot got through, it missed the toe, but then cleaned house on the inside and damaged those nerves and all that stuff. It's a long cut. I actually have a picture, but if I were to get shot in the hand the same way, it would have been like taking this meat part of my hand.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so I could walk. Obviously, I had the
Yeah.
adrenaline dumping, and they sit me down. And I'm like, damn, I got hit in the foot. So boss cuts open, you're like, we got an officer shot. And it sounds dramatic on the radio. Oh my God. I guess everyone's adrenaline's dumping at that point. I'm already calm. The fight's over. I already hit the game winning shot. It was one of those
Right.
feelings. I'm
Yeah.
good. Let me refocus. And they pull up the FD wagon, take me to the freaking hospital. And the AC is not working. It's like sputter. How many times did your cruiser start spitting out AC because it over? That's the ride I got.
Yeah.
So I'm going to the hospital. I'm like, damn, I'm hot as hell, man. I got, can I have some of that water? It's in one of those little freaking delicious looking vials. He's like, nah, you don't want to drink that shit. I go, I've seen you give that to people. He's like, you don't want that. So we're on the way to the hospital. And then I'm like, man, what happened to the bad guy? I never really had any final conclusions because he pulled me away.
Yeah. No closure.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and he
Yeah.
goes, he's dead. He's way dead. And then it was like, fuck, what's way dead mean? Did we shoot too much? First thing I thought of, the motherfucker
Huh.
shot me. I'm thinking, did we shoot too much? Call my wife. We just had my 5-month-old son, Killian. My first kid. Father's Day was Sunday. I got shot that Tuesday. Some big celebrations coming up right that Sunday. Now I'm in a boot and a freaking electric scooter, which is badass, man. That little thing was fun. But I made the best of it, right? So at the time, we're at the hospital, or I'm sorry, in the ambulance. I called my wife. Hey, honey, there was a little incident. I got nicked in the foot with gunfire. I'm going to get some stitches. She's thinking I shot myself in the foot. I don't want to tell her or something, right? So I hear my son crying. I'm like, and she's okay. And she just hangs up. I was like, all right, she's good, And I'm like, oh, my mom, she's a retired cop. I got to let her know. I can't have her find out on Fox or some shit. Mom. And she wanted to talk to my sergeant, even though she was cool. Let me call Frank. She was friends with my sergeant at the time. And then it was like, damn, I got to call Mikey. I got to play basketball at 6. I ain't making it. I'm number 10. So they can find another. And I call him. And I go, I can't make hoops. And dude, it's like a 10-minute ride to the hospital. I'm doing all this, probably
Yeah,
high
yeah,
from the adrenaline, like I am now, all of a sudden reliving it. And Mike, I can't make hoops. Why, dude? Oh, now we got to play with nine. One guy's got to sit, and one team, or whatever, right? And I go, yeah, Mom, we're at the hospital. I got shot, dude. Bank robber was crazy. And he's like, and you called me? I go, I want you to know that I was gonna make it. Like, they got to get the mission done, right?
yeah.
So I'm at the hospital, and it's surreal. Everyone's showing up and taking out bullet fragments out of my foot. And I had a very attractive podiatrist. She was residency there, and I got a lot more of the bosses coming to my room than usual, or that I've seen in the past, visiting officers, because I think they wanted to
Always.
see
Yeah.
her.
Oh,
Oh, really? How you doing, Eric? So that was fun seeing that. We always had that fun little look. And my wife was there. They went and got my wife and brought her with my kid, and that was the worst thing we could have done, because my kid wouldn't stop crying. He felt the tension. He's a
mm,
breastfed baby, and at the time, 5 months, I'd already take I already got in trouble for taking him to the Marlins game. Opening day 2012 in the Marlins. We bought a stone for him. I had season tickets, and we took a 3-month-old to opening night, and the freaking jet airplanes and the Florida Stadium has opening walls. It was a nightmare, dude. She never let me live it down. Now here I am again, bringing her to the hospital. No, the fuck. So everything's cool. I go home that night and watch the Miami Heat lose the championship game, and the news comes on. I already popped the Percocet. I got a big boot on. They wrapped it up. Hey, you're not gonna die, type of thing. And I remember I had made a real, like, a triple vodka. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna enjoy this motherfucker. And the news comes on, and it's like, tonight at 11, another officer shot in the line of duty. Done. And we had, actually, that period of time, there was like 3 or 4 cops around us that had been shot in different situations. And so it was the hot topic. And they loved us then. They didn't, so it wasn't like 2020, flipping police cars. We hate you guys.
right.
And so it was, holy shit, that's me. It's surreal. And then I start thinking, man, they're gonna release my name. I got a kid at
Mm,
home, and then all the other shit starts to creep in. So 2 days later, they take us to the therapist. Hey, Chris, haven't seen you since. I sent you a text saying, hey, you good? And vice versa. And that was the only time we ever talked with anybody. It
yeah.
was together. And are you guys good? Yeah, we're good. What happened? Going over the whole what we saw from our perspective. I'm not saying it wasn't any good. It was good. I just wish, looking back, we had more of that. And I think it should be more of that for not just a shooting that you're in. It could be a death of a child. And we try to do these after action meetups. When guys get in, they throw some stuff out and come see me. Eventually, that door shuts, and we move on to the next trauma that we're going to endure.
Yeah, it usually takes
So,
about 5 minutes too. Once the departments check the box that, yeah, we did it, we offered them, and then it's like,
yeah,
yeah, all right, we're done. Moving on, moving on. What do we got next? Yeah.
I'm like, man, I got time off. I don't have to come back and work the front desk and take stupid cell phone reports. Oh, I just found out all those cell phone reports that I took, and I used to make up case numbers because people needed them for insurance.
Make-
They never pulled them, so they're fake. Just let all you people know. There's no such report. So, yeah, I was scared about doing that shit, but I got to be at home for 6 weeks with my son. And at about 6 months, he starts to be a little bit more interactive, knows who dad is. Mom
Mm,
was breastfeeding. That's all he cared about, was those things. And it was very therapeutic for me to be at home with this little guy. I was 42 years old. I was right in that median range of officers that have been killed. I've read those FBI statistics. I actually was reading it like a couple days before I actually got shot in 2011. It was the 2011 statistics of cops that got killed, and it was case synopsis of what happened. And then it had
what
like a
month? What month in 2012? Do you remember?
me?
Yeah,
Oh, June 12th,
June 12th. Okay,
2012.
June 12th.
It's actually the same day that OJ killed Nicole and her husband, and the Pulse nightclub shooting. It's all the
Oh,
same
no
June 12th.
shit.
June 12th is haunted. People told me it's the day of the devil or something because
Well, I
666 is in there.
I'll tell you what, my first shooting was also spring of 2012. I don't remember the exact date. Uh,
Oh, wow.
but yeah, that was the same exact time frame I got into my first shooting. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's wild. Yeah. You end up doing, I started doing some physical therapy on the foot. I didn't need a surgery at that point, but it was just nerve damage. I couldn't feel a lot. And I'm like, I didn't think about getting out of the job. I didn't think I played a lot of basketball and worked out, even though I had a belly and drank a lot. I was still very active. I was still better than all my other guys, most of them. You always have your top 15, 20% of your department, and I can't mess with that guy. I'm just got to shoot him. And but the rest of the guys, I felt pretty, yeah, I can handle myself in different events and different things. And the big moment was when I went back to the road 3 months later, and now I'm in the car and I'm back in the game again. And first couple calls, it's like catching your first pass or something, or making your first layup or something. You're just trying to first traffic stop all over again. And I was a traffic guru, dude. I used to do traffic all the time. But now traffic stops are a little bit more, because I'm thinking about that dude that
Yeah.
when he stopped in the middle of traffic, right? So now you're like, well, I'm be a little more careful with this. But there's 3 or 4 dudes riding deep. I'm going to call a unit over before I pull the stop, rather than
Yeah.
pull the stop and then I'm screaming on the phone, fucking send unit. So I started working a lot more smarter. And but every call was just freaking intense, man. Like I told this the other day, a basic alarm call that we got. We find an open slider on the back. It's cracked open, and there's a bicycle there. Good cop. Hey, burglar parks his bike behind the house, goes in. There's a fucking dude in there. Get ready.
Yeah.
Turns out it's the owner's bike. He leaves the damn thing open for the cat. So we search through the house, which is always weird to go through someone else's house you've never been to. It's always this weird, oh, those curtains suck, or whatever. You're just going through this fucking weird scenario. But anyway, searching the house, close it out, no paperwork or anything. But I couldn't come down, dude. I was like, oh my God. And then a couple days later, a shoplifter left, took off from a local store. I love catching me some shoplifters. I went back to my roots, right? So I'm flying down there and he passed me on his bike and everyone's like, there you go. So I go chase him down. He ditches the bike, hides in an apartment complex. And I just read those FBI studies how a cop got killed chasing a shoplifter. It's kind of similar situation because the guy was wanted for something else, not for the
Mhm.
stealing Gatorade.
Yeah.
All this in my head. And I'm coming around corners. I could have waited. You can't turn that shit off. You want to get the bad guy sometimes, right? And it was a shoplifter, I'm thinking. So I come around the corner. There he is, bladed against the wall, trying to hide from me and get on the fucking ground. So he's starting to move around, and then he puts both hands in his pockets. And then I don't. It was surreal, dude. He pulls him out. I could tell he didn't have anything in his hands. And then I just rushed him. I got him to the ground
Yeah.
and forced him down, reholstered, handcuffed him. And I remember asking him, dude, why did you fucking reach in your pockets, bro?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm scared. I've never had a gun pointed at me before, and I was just getting my ID. So in his moment of trauma, the only time he's ever got in trouble with the cops is, hey, let me
Yeah.
see some ID, buddy. So in that moment, that's what he did. And I was like, I would have been justified. I could have articulated that. He
Oh, for
already
sure.
ran
Yeah.
from me. But I would have lived with that, being like,
Yeah.
damn, what if I had to then render aid as he died? What would that have done? So, anyways, that stuff starts building. I'm drinking more to calm my central nervous system down and just to fucking deal with the demons. Just to relax, I think was the biggest part of it. And wife's, hey, what's going on? No, you're not the same. You're drinking more. A typical thing you hear from a caring wife, right? And I didn't think it was anything that bad. And I knew I was doing heavy pours, but I wasn't beating anybody. My work wasn't suffering, typing and submitting reports and shit. And an evidence job opened up on our little bulletin board. And we had a former cop in there that was retiring or getting out. And it's nobody wants evidence. It's like a pain in the ass. The last 2 cops they had in there, one died and the other one got arrested for stealing fucking money. So they had civilians in there and then they were stealing. So then now they put sworn back in it. Let's try it again. So that guy's spot was open. Yeah, I go, you know what? I ain't stealing shit. I got 12 years in. I'm trying to get to that 20. I'll tap out. So I applied for it and got it. And this is where writing thorough reports and not having a ton of errors helps you later on when they start
How
looking at
long after your shooting was that?
6 months.
Okay.
So I
So
did three
relatively
months on the
quickly. Yeah.
road and almost killed a guy and almost losing my mind. It's almost
Yeah.
going to break at that point.
Yeah.
And within that 6 months, I'm reading the statistics. You've been in one shoot, you're more likely being in another shoot. And then
Yep.
you've been in two, you're more likely being in a third.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what happens to Chris Monroe? My partner for my shooting, he gets another shooting 6 months later.
Yeah.
They're doing a DUI saturation patrol, and a car comes at him. He fires, gets hit by the car, hurts his shoulder. Another officer on scene fires. It's one of those scenarios where they hit the guy in the head, but it went around his skull and
Uh-huh.
came out,
Yeah.
and he survived it. So the guy got time or whatever. But there it is, 6 months later, already in a second shoot. And
Right.
since then, every cop I know that's been in a shooting has been in a second one. And we're not a big department. Like I said, we're a 160 man department, maybe about 150,000 people in our city, 16 square miles.
Hmm.
But we got it all. We're a little big city. We got our
Right.
rich, our poor, and it's active shopping centers and beaches, and it's just
It's a big metro area too. There's a lot of
yeah.
going a lot of places there. Yeah.
And it's fun. I mean, to do the
Yeah.
job as a cop here, if you want to have some fun, but obviously restrictions and policies have changed some things, and you can't be doing it the way and probably a lot of it's for good reason. I'm not saying everything we did back in the day or like my mom's generation was exactly right and ethical. But anyway, I'm in evidence, get that, and I'm just kind of, all right, I can breathe now. And My wife's not complaining. I'm working a better schedule. I have a second child. I'm a second son. We move into another neighborhood, get further away from my city. I'm feeling better. Still drinking though. I'm a big sports guy and I gamble. Let's throw 50 on the game and drink myself to death, and then I'll blow it later when I'm drunk on poker for some reason. So I was in this whole freaking thing. And a new chief comes in. Why do we have a sworn guy in evidence? Why are we paying $90,000 for a guy when we can that typical budget thing? So now I get wind, dude, they're gonna probably put you back to the road. I'm like, oh, here it comes. And the Grim Reaper's back.
Mm,
So I'm like, oh man, I got to go back out there. So I start really trying to figure out what can I do. And at the time, we had another cop get run over by crazy situation, chase a bad guy. One guy tries to throw those lovely stop sticks,
yeah.
and the
Oh,
bad guy
don't
nicks
get me
him.
started on those.
I
Yeah.
know. It knocks our cop into the path of the police car. The police car now runs on top of my buddy Jeff.
Man.
But he slows down enough that doesn't kill Jeff. But now Jeff's wedged underneath the police car.
Yeah.
Bad guys chase
Ugh.
now the bad guy's going, the rest of the night crew is going. They got the helicopter eventually. But they got to rescue Jeff. So that happened to Jeff. They ended up, what happened was the helicopter captured our dudes when the bad guy finally stopped beating the shit out of the guy. So then it turned into the Department of Justice came down and indicted 4 of our cops, buddies of mine. And it was one of those situations where if you were on scene, would you have lost your mind in that herd mentality of you might be trying to grab a guy, but then you throw in a couple extra shots. But when the FBI and all those, they're looking at the freaking helicopter footage with NASA cameras, it was just like guys were getting looked at for using their gun as they're punching a guy. So now you got like a felony battery or something. It was just a shit show.
Yeah.
So all that's going on. I'm seeing my buddies getting indicted. And so I lost it to one of my bosses. I go, man, I don't want to go back to road. What am I supposed to do if I try to get disability? And he goes, you need to go to EAP first. So he recommended, he's now a chief of police in New Mexico. He's one of the good guys within the police world that looks after the other guys. Didn't forget where he came from. So he actually used to arrest my guys when I was catching shoplifters. So that's where that connection goes back to. So I go to EAP and talk to this poor lady. Yeah, she's holy shit. You need to see somebody or you need to start the workers' comp process. This is where I get really pissed off and I do get emotional because you're reaching for the help and they send you down this fucking maze to get the help that you need. And I just need to talk to somebody. That's all I needed to fucking do. I didn't need pills. I didn't need to lose my job. I didn't need to be isolated. I just needed some direction to go with this. Ended up hiring a workers' comp attorney. I was really pissed off. I had an open file with my foot. It wasn't like I was making shit up. All right. Hearing comes, they make me break down in front of a room full of whole fucking lawyers to make sure that I need the freaking care. And this is 2015. And they finally sent me to their independent doctor. And he approves me to go start seeing a therapist. And turned out to be a psychologist named Dr. Mark Burnett in Palm Beach Gardens. And he sees a lot of first responders. And I'm not gonna say, oh, he saved my life, but he really helped me how to learn how to dance with this. And first thing he told me is, Eric, is attacking your central nervous system here. You can be more hypervigilant. And you remember when you used to sleep really deep at night? You're not going to sleep that deep anymore. And remember how you used to be a little more comfortable out in public? Yeah, you'll be a little more hesitant. You're not going to want to go out as much. You're going to want to order in and just be safe. And we got it from here, is what he was letting me know. That's what my body was doing. And at the time, I'm not eating great. I wasn't doing carnivore, keto, or anything, really looking at my nutrition at all. I was drinking, and my wife's kind of healthy. It was rice and vegetable and some of that basic American diet and trying to watch my sugars and sweets and shit. And they kept saying, quit drinking, you lose weight, your cholesterol's getting too high. And then 2016, for some reason, after I started seeking therapy and I won that case, they couldn't touch me really. So they let me stay in evidence. It did me a solid, which you don't get a lot of that nowadays. And I stayed in there. 2016, one of my best buds, Joe Crowder, canine guy, tip top shape, was an Army vet, our class commander in our academy, dies of a heart attack jogging, 44 years old. And that was a bad one too, because I'm a fat guy and he's this in shape motherfucker. And see him in his casket, you're like, holy shit, man, I got to do something. I don't want to take pills. I've seen what the pill industry did down here with the opiate crisis and all these old people we flipped over to make sure they're dead and stuff. Whole house was filled with pharmaceuticals all the time, dude. And I didn't want to go that path. And I started looking into ketogenic because of a guy that lost 50 pounds I knew from playing basketball. And started understanding burning fat for fuel and getting off the carbohydrates. I looked at myself that I was just a big like fuel tank of unleaded and I needed to go to diesel. And meanwhile, my body would work on all that extra unleaded fuel I filled up. So I looked at it that way and I started using a lot more meat and a lot more healthy fats, avocado oil and ghee butters. And I started meal prepping. I started fasting longer, eating twice a day, bringing my food to the evidence job. And then within 6 months, I was down 50 pounds in 2019, dude. Started calling me Keto 50 in the police department. I started helping guys. I came from the whole Hawaii 50 stuff. And to go see Eric in evidence, man, he'll help you lose weight. I helped one cat lose 50 pounds and Keto 50 was born just out from the evidence desk. And started helping dispatch, started helping the girls in record. And then I got other department, a couple people here or there that are married to people. And then Facebook group chat, just kept it small. I wasn't looking to do anything with it except help people. And then I decided to retire. And it's like June of 2019. I'm going to retire my 50th birthday in October. I go, what a way to get out. I knew I wasn't going to stay for the drop. I knew I wasn't going to go for promotions and go to nights. I was way too attached to my family. I knew there was other things out there for me that I can do. And we were going to relocate out of Palm Beach County anyways, and living up in Tennessee or the Southeast, we knew we could make it work. And then she started like dropping these little seeds about selling our house and buying an RV or a tiny home that we could pull around. And I was not a camper, dude. I'm like, get out of here. I'm a suburban kid from Miami. You want to talk? Let's talk about a condo on the beach or something. So she's pushing this narrative. And then this is where it gets really cool is I get an email from 23andMe. It says you got a relative that wants to connect. And I did 23andMe back in 2016 because I was curious about my mom's Spanish side. The Cuban side goes back to Spain and there's some French and German in there. My dad's side's all Irish and then Viking up in the freaking Nordics, right? So I go, great. I got Vikings. I got the Spanish Armada mix. And it's interesting. What? Even if it's accurate, I don't know. It seemed like it made sense, right? And now they got it and they're cloning me. So
That's all right. They're totally out of business now. It doesn't matter.
that's what I'm worried about. Who's going to get my DNA that's out there? It's going to show up at my door. You've been replaced. Dunk. And so it's an email, and dude, it was surreal. It says, "Hey, hello, my name's Dave Stull. I don't know anything about my birth parents. I did 23andMe because my adopted parents died, and I did this to find out some information about my health. And this came back, and it says we're both brothers, we're both cops, and we're both in Florida." So we end up because what had happened on my profile page, I had me in uniform. I wasn't like, if you're going to find me, you're going to know what I'm about, and then we can just stop through the bullshit right from the get go. Either you're going to support me or not. And he saw the uniform, and he said he chewed on it for 2 days because he's like, oh shit, I didn't expect this DNA report. And he's got no kids of his own. He's married to a woman that has two of hers. They're already adults. So he sat on it for 2 days thinking about, oh my God, this dude's a cop. And he could see Boynton Beach 2 hours away from me. He didn't know if he wanted to open up that Pandora's box. So he decided and sent me an email. He's like, if you don't want to talk to me, I understand. We'll never talk again. I'm like, you out of your fucking mind? I got a brother? My dad's been married 5 times, right? So I got all these half
Oh
siblings, but
man.
they're all like 14 years younger. So they grew up in another state.
Yeah.
It's like cousins. That's how our
Right.
relationship is. But this dude is my age. So we end up, I think it's a scam. Give me your number for the department. All right. Fucking FaceTime this dude. And it's my dad. It's my 50 fucking year old dad looking at me, right? Because he looks more like my dad than any of us. So he got that 18-year-old DNA we found out. I got the 19-year-old DNA that had already been vaxxed by the Air Force. So I think that shit was a little more tainted. So his shit was pure. So I was like, holy cow, Dave. I go, you look just dad. How do you want me to call him? Because you got a dad. Because he grew up 50 years with another dude. So we're doing all this crazy shit. It's almost like a scene from a movie. Like, dude, where's my tattoo? All that crazy. What are you drinking? And he's Tito's. I go, I'm drinking motherfucking Tito's. But it's like the most popular vodka out there, right? So it's not that big of a deal. But to us, it was like, so we decided like, all right, we're gonna meet up for a weekend. So we go meet up. We drive up there, bring my kids, and it's holy cow, and really cool. And he's been camping 10 years. Already has an RV parked there. My wife's, oh, you've been camping, Dave. I'm like, oh no. This is not a good sign that she's trying to push his narrative, and this brother shows up out of Mars or something. And So we go to my PIO of the department, who was pretty close with. She always looked out for me and helped me do some stuff when I was back on helping kids and got me to interview on TV because I'd be the only guy that would talk. The guys, I don't want to do anything. So I go, hey, Stephanie, I found this brother. It's a cop in Orlando through 23andMe. It's insane. And she got goosebumps. And she's like, can we put this out on the news and Twitter? I'm like, all right, I don't care. Dave, cool. He's like, yeah. He's more stoic, reserved, typical boy. He grew up different life. His dad was a Navy helicopter pilot. He grew up in San Diego, this guy. So he's wavy Davy. So he ends up my PIO puts it out there. Bam! Shit blows up, dude. All of a sudden, there's a press conference. There's 40 microphones in front of us. There's Fox, NBC, all the local channels are there. And here's Dave and I come up just talking about finding each other. And it was awesome. And Dave said it best. Usually, when we get together in these big events, it's something somber or something sad. It's either some guy died, somebody died. But this
Right.
was actually a cool occasion. So everyone's smiling. It was crazy. It's like you're in a freaking bizarro world because you can see the hungriness of the reporters looking at you fucking looking for their break. So, anyways, so we end up going on Fox News. We got interviewed on Fox and Friends one morning. We had our class A's on, and so how does it feel to find a brother? And I dropped a Baba Booey on Fox News, and Howard didn't reach out, but he's a POS now, anyways. But at the time, I thought it'd be cool to say Baba Booey on the Fox News. So anyways, we auditioned for the Amazing Race that fall. They reached out to us and said we'd love to have you two brothers on the show. And I'm like, this is wild, Dave. We're going to LA. And they had us
Yeah.
going out there in December. And then that COVID thing started showing up a little bit and they deferred us to February and then they never called us again. Within 2 months they're flipping cars. I'm like, Dave, they ain't calling us, dude. We're done. I think we're out of the system.
Yeah.
But Dave been into camping and he goes, you can rent a camper, dude. Try it out first. So I camped with him, fell in love with it. Of course, they put me to St. Augustine Beach, Florida, so I could walk out the camper and walk right out to the beach. And I had my feet in the sand within 3 seconds. It was amazing. I'm like, so we just travel around, do this all the time? Like, we don't have a mortgage. And we use that, and we could live pretty much a month, $300 a month at different campgrounds. So what? I'm going to pay 3 grand a year and we just
Yeah.
travel,
For
dude. And
living expenses. Yeah.
we were already homeschooling. My kids were 8 and 4 then, so they were still little. It wasn't like they were trying to do anything like now. My kid started a YouTube channel, so now it's like, Dad, I need a little studio. I'm like, oh my God, now he's getting into it. But he does like art stuff. He's not like on there talking like me or anything. So yeah, so we ended up getting this RV life, traveling around, and I put my flag out. Hey, I'm a retired cop. You're too young to be a cop. I ended up losing 80 pounds overall. I'm sorry. I also went to carnivore during that time and pretty much eliminated plants because I'd already eaten plants because I felt guilty all the time from being a little kid. Gotta have your vegetables. Once I got that shit out of my diet, dude, I freaking saw abs for the first time. I got down to 170 pounds, dude. I was like, this is crazy. I was this weight in 8th grade and I couldn't make the next 165s the following year because I was too heavy. I just remember not playing football in 9th grade. I had to play flag. And that was like a step down from playing tackle football, flag football. I'm like, oh man, flag football's dope now, but at the time I had a stigma. It's like homeschooling, I had a stigma too. And now I'm doing homeschooling, playing flag football. Life's great. So yeah, and then that campground in New York tried to kick me out of the campground for the flag. Like, you got to leave. I'm like, what are you talking about? I go, do you know what I've been through, motherfucker? And I got dead cops on my arm. You're gonna come tell me? So I thought he was fucking with me at first. I thought he was just bullshit me because sometimes firemen will pull up and he goes, no, you need to take your flag down. So I turned on my phone and we're 2 hours from New York in 2021. Only reason I was there because my wife's got family and we got to show them the trailer. So we go to the shithole and the guys take the flag down. So I record them and I go, what'd you tell me to do again? I'm just curious. What were you saying? He's like, you got to take your flag down, your thin blue line flag. I was like, you mother. So I went off. I didn't hurt him. I didn't touch him. I didn't want to go to jail in New York. It just seemed like a bad idea in 2021. And I walked away. And I'm like, you touch my flag, motherfucker. See what happens. So I get in a trailer. I'm stomping around. The manager comes. He needs it. And I come out. Motherfucker, you ain't taking my flag. I'm like that domestic. You just got to calm down. And here he comes again. And I'm hot. My PTSD is fucking flying. And I hadn't been there in a long time because even when I was in evidence, I wasn't doing any jump out, active, real serious stuff. I
Yeah.
laid low. And whew, I was fucking hot. And they're going to call the cops on me. You're going to go to jail. We're calling the cops. I'm like, I just left Niagara Falls. I had this great experience with my family. And now I'm like losing my mind in this campground over a flag. So I looked up and I was worried that they own the ground of the campground because the policies are a little vague. So I put it in the front of my truck. They can't tell me what to do in my truck. And then all my friends are like, leave that fucking place, blah, blah, blah. I go, no, I got this place for 8 days. We're staying for 8 days of irritant. So what I did was I brought out everything that I had police, like my police blanket became my picnic table blanket. All my police t-shirts became the chair covers. I had coffee cups. I had challenge coins. I had what it looked like a damn thin blue line, like event sales
Yeah.
store or something, dude. It was
Right.
crazy.
Police
And,
week.
and then because of my shooting, I'd done a couple things with Police One and Law Enforcement Today, a couple magazine or interviews or something, just talking about stuff.
Yeah.
And I reached out to those guys and they were like, what? We'll do an article on it. So they do an article and it starts to blow up a little bit in our world. And then Thousand Trails starts getting calls from cops. What's your policy on the flag? Blah, blah, blah. They're like, what's the department? Each campground's different. And what had happened is the campground I was at the year before had some issues with police flags and then BLM people
Uh-huh.
and so many shots fired in the air. So they just took away the thin blue line flag. They didn't take away anybody else's flag. I
Yeah.
mean, there was Canadian flags, BLM flag, but they didn't like our flag. All that shit goes down. Blaze Gomez from Channel 12, Hudson Valley News comes out, does a story on it, and it's such a stage. They're like, act like you're camping. And I'm like, what do you mean, act like I'm camping? Like, you want me to throw firewood in the fire? They're like, yeah, that'd be great. So I'm like, and that's the footage. I crawled up a ladder, and they're like, and I'm like, man, this is all they feed us out there. There's all this fake propaganda shit.
Yeah.
But it was cool. And then I get suspended from Thousand Trails for 2 months because the video gets out. And they see me yelling at the guy, calling him a piece of shit. So now I'm being vulgar to their employee. They got to set a company wide standard because they have thousands of campgrounds.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the hit. They suspend me for 2 months. And now I put it out there. And I wasn't trying to do social media. I wasn't Keto 5 I want to sell shit or
Yeah.
I was just trying to camp, dog. Now I'm like, now I'm suspended. And people are canceling their memberships. And then 4 different campgrounds in upstate New York reach out on social media. They're like, anyone know this cop? Tell him to bring his family, his rig, and his flag, and he can come stay with us on the house. So we ended up covering those 2 months we were suspended by these different campgrounds. They covered it for us, and it was better campgrounds. And it was on the water. They gave us golf carts. Local cops were pulling up, giving me challenge coins. I'm like, I'm going to come up with my own Keto 50 or something challenge coin. And that's what I've
Yeah.
created today. I actually give them out and I'll be sending you one next. I
Oh,
give them out to all
cool.
the podcasts I do. It's
Awesome.
starting to get a little expensive now. I'm starting to do more podcasts. But no, it's something I give out. And I also give them out to clients that lose 20 pounds. It gives them a little incentive. It's like their little chip of enjoyment. It was just such a great experience. And the first campground I was at, they happened to have a band that Saturday. And summertime is always fun at campground. Everyone's like drinking and partying and it's de-stressing. And I was like, hey, Scott, would you want to have an event here? Just we'll call it like Cops and Campers or something. So yeah, let's do it. So we circled it in the following year and we had our first event there in 2022. We did a 30-minute documentary on it that's on YouTube. It's called Cops and Campers. And one of my buddies, Patrick, was a film guy. He's also a retired cop. So he did it. We paid out of pocket and he did all the editing and put it together. And pretty much the way it works is we all get together like Thursday night. It's a meet and greet kind of thing at like a bonfire. And I joked around about I thought it'd be funny to have some guy with a Philly badge, Philly cop, and then you have a guy with a New York fucking badge. And then and that would break the ice. But I didn't even need that because they're already talking shit before you even get there. They've already, so I don't need name tags. Trust me. So it turns into this whole thing on Thursday night. You're just hanging out. Some guys are drinking, some aren't. Friday we have like yoga in the morning through a retired cop, and it doesn't have to be wear tighty whities. It's really about, hey, think about your mind and some of the stuff that's going on, and just trying to help them relax a little bit. Get the families out with them so they can laugh at dad trying to touch his toes. It becomes it's a fun little event. We have rock painting. Friday night we usually have a food truck, and there's a big pool there, so everyone's diving in, and then Saturday's our big day. That's when I have a couple of guest speakers come out and we talk metabolic health. We'll talk strokes. We'll talk heart disease. We'll talk anything that's really related to our world. And I got firemen there and I got paramedics, dispatchers. It's about 300 to 400 people at this campground. They're not all their cop. Maybe 50 are cops with their families or something. But we mix it up with other regular people that are like, oh my God, I didn't know there's a cop event this weekend. Guess what? There's tractor rides at 4. There's a cornhole tournament at 2. And then we end the night with Tailor Made, which is a band of retired cops and correction guys. And they sing Southern rock and they play for 2 hours and they give away guitars to the crowd. And dude, it's just fucking amazing, cool event. And then we have coffee in the morning. I get coffee donated and we got to have coffee and camping. So it's like cops and coffee in the morning. And guys meet at least one other guy in the mix. A wife might meet another wife that she can talk shit about her husband while he's a maniac. And at least she got has an outlet. And then I started getting all this feedback of guys going, dude, keep going, keep going. And I started nonprofit in 2023 in November, just started it to get it going.
Oh,
And
okay.
so we're small. And it doesn't take a lot for us to make it work at a campground. I can get a lot of campsites donated. I can get trailers donated or RVs. If a guy is in a traumatic event and he needs a break, and we happen to be nearby and I can get him somewhere, we'll totally do that. So that's what we're trying to do, to at least let them know what else is out there. And like I said, I left my drop money on the table to buy these 5 years for me. And it saved me with the heart disease diagnosis and them telling me I'm gonna be dead in 10 years, which now I'm 6 years into that death sentence. So I should get this coin out to you pretty soon. But one of the things that happened to me was it wasn't just my bad diet. I was very filled up with heavy metals and mycotoxins. I was very poisoned. And it turns out I also had Lyme disease. So the metals I had was mercury from my fillings. I had 6 fillings done in 1982 to 85. It was Civil War dentistry. I've had arsenic from all the brown rice, which is in all the fast food you eat, all the restaurant food, all the cereals, all the breads. It's all brown rice, and they got arsenic in it. It's in the soil. And then the aluminum is everything from getting the jabs throughout my life to getting freaking deodorant. Guard kid, I sprayed that shit on. It's going out of style all the time, and it's in the air, and it's just everywhere. So those all showed up with my after my heart disease diagnosis, and I was losing all this weight. I had something called a coronary calcium score. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So that came up 1500 and the top of that rating is 400. So I'm 1100 points higher.
Yeah.
So that's why we started looking at some things. So I had walked away in 2020 from my cardiologist because they wanted to do stents and do what killed my buddy Joe. I was going that same path
Uh-huh.
and I walked away. So I met Dr. Philip Avadia from Tampa. He's a heart surgeon. He goes, let's rescan you and see where you're at now. You've been carnivore 5 years. All your inflammation numbers are low. Everything's great. A1C is 5.2. Your trigs, my HDL ratios are all perfect where they need to be. I don't pay as much attention to LDL like they do. I know there's a whole world of
Oh
debate with
man,
that.
so cholesterol numbers alone, like LDLs can be broken down even further. I'm sure you already know this, but
Yeah, the VLDL, and then it
VLDLs
just
and
keeps going.
then
Yeah.
ApoB score and that kind of stuff. And that's so some of the stuff there's so much here. I'm gonna jump in for just a quick second here,
Sorry,
but
man. I
there,
apologize.
there's a lot of stuff that I want to touch on and break down. But let's start here and work back. So the my experience with this with the CAC score, right? And this is what kind of put it more in my face as to what am I going to do about this? Because I'm 43, I'm getting to the
Okay.
point where it's like, hey, you should definitely know these metrics, and definitely as you get into your 40s, like you should understand what the numbers are telling you, what your blood is telling you.
Right.
But I had a score that was not near as high as yours, but it wasn't zero. And it was like on the border of like mild to moderate, right? Like I think it was
Yeah.
like 99, something like that. And it was like, okay, you're getting some plaques. Now, I was like, shit, dude, I work out all the time. Like you talk about the 15% of the department, I try to stay in like the 1%, right? And I'm like, I should be zero. And my doctor was like, yeah, you should be zero. So go get a heart scan. Or I got the heart scan. And he was like, you need to just start like really digging into the blood work. And that's where I was like, okay, my LDLs are high. My
Right.
HDLs are also high. I have a huge family lineage of super high cholesterol, regardless of anything, right? It doesn't matter diet, doesn't matter anything. My family LDL history is through the roof.
Right.
And nobody ever knew why. And then I got my ApoB score, and my ApoB score was super high. And as
Yeah.
far as what I know about that, it's that doesn't matter what you do. Like this is a genetic factor that
Right.
like statins can control some, but you're not going to diet or exercise your way out of this.
Yeah,
So
and the statins aren't going to really help you long term anyways. So you just kind of you got to manage your inflammation overall and your diet, and just eventually your genetics are going to get you if they're going to get you. I
yeah,
mean,
there's a lot to that.
well,
And
my score was so crazy because we redid it and it came back 4,100 in 2024.
yeah, that's insane.
So
So
now I'm being looked at like a dead man walking
yeah,
everywhere I go.
yeah. But with that though, so the CAC score, fill me in a little bit because I know only a little bit about it. That's showing the calcium and the plaques the way I understand it, correct?
It's showing the calcified plaque.
The
It doesn't
calcified
show
plaque.
you the soft plaque. So what's happened is with all this testing of the CAC scores, you're having a lot of people with zeros having heart attacks. And they're like, oh, this isn't working out
Yeah.
because they're filled with loose plaque. And the that regular basic scan that you get is just going to tell you the hard stuff, not the soft stuff, pretty much. Well, I had the hard stuff the first 2 times and it kept going up. And I read some stuff on statins that it causes calcification. So I was like,
Yes.
I'm already calcifying. I've never been on a statin. So and I'm already against those guys anyway. So I'm looking for anything to dispute them, but I want science behind it. And I've been doing research, reading books. I'm no freaking scientist, but when your own life is on the line, and you got little kids that I don't want them to find me dead in the fucking bedroom or something. So you take shit seriously. So I learned how to read my blood work and stuff like that. I could write a search warrant. I could arrest somebody and take their rights away from them and know how to testify that in court, but I didn't know what LDL was.
Right.
So that's where I really got aggressive with it. And it made me better and smarter, more of a health advocate. So yeah, they redo the score. It's 4,000. And that's when we found out the poisonings through the metals, the Lyme disease, and heavy molds. My bulletproof vest that I wore would have mold on it all the time. We'd be trying to lay it out in the sun, spray it down with whatever chemical, God forbid, I was spraying on to re-put it on my body. And then you put the work order in and whatever. It was just, I'm South Florida, we're wearing polyester. I'm fermenting all day long, just a petri dish. So that was one of the issues with the mold. The evidence room that I was in, who knows, that wasn't toxic. They knocked that police department down and now they
Yeah.
rebuilt a new one. So maybe
I,
that was part of it. Maybe guys were driving left and right through health insurance. They're like, we got to get out of there. Yeah, I kept going that way. There was nothing they could really do. I was worried about, obviously, like everyone else with the calcification, is there more soft plaque along with that calcified plaque? So if I'm such a high number, I was asymptomatic. I didn't have chest pains. I could still, I'm not running marathons. I was never a marathon type runner. I was more short spurts like basketball and football type sports.
right.
So I was fine. And they're like, don't run any marathons. Trust me, I'm not. So I just do my own. I do a lot more resistance training, handstands, time under tension stuff to build my core. I realized how bad my core was. I never realized it until I lost the weight and started looking at it and really feeling the different motions, the difference between carrying a weight and carrying two weights, what it does to your overall body. So, anyways, I started just really figuring, all right, you're going through this detox process. You have the fillings taken out. You're, let's go get another test. You should be lower, or at least maintained it. So I had it done again in January and it's 5,600. So now it's up again another 1,500 points. So it's tripled in pretty much 5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to these different doctors, and it just seems to be because it's one of the arteries that's at the end of the trail. It just seems like it's the, you know, how we bury our garbage. I've really let the body do what it's supposed to do. And my doctor feels that over the years, with all that blockage building up, whether it was athletics, taking care of myself, or the stress of adrenalines every time that alert tone goes off,
Mm.
pumping, I've got collateral bypass, which means your arteries,
Oh yeah. They.
they will reform new
Yep.
pathways. And I've got that. It's not like I got a all new big strong artery sitting there. It's been replaced like I'm some Martian. But your body will naturally do that because it's trying to survive,
Yeah.
you know, and it sees it coming way before you do. So I think I was building up that toxic dump for a long time. And then once I cut out the garbage and my body started healing, I started fasting longer. I
Mhm.
don't do 3 day fast or anything like that. Maybe I'll do a day, 24 hours. But I started getting into the brown fat in my body. I started getting through that teenage fat, I think is what I was burning into. And that's just filled with all kinds of 1980s glyphosate and all kinds of other toxic shit. There's not much. All right. So the big thing I ended up doing was getting the heart flow, which is another calcium score test where they inject you with dye.
Yeah.
And then they measure it at the right time to
Yep.
see what the restriction is. And that measures the soft plaque and that measures the hard plaque. So that's
Yep.
what I wanted. I don't have insurance, never had it after I left. I see practitioners that's cash based. I sign up
Now
for the
it's
family plan.
is that the same as an EMG
No.
or an EK? I'm trying to think EKG. I had one of those. It sounds like that. I can't remember what the name was. The EMG is the electrical thing. So I think it's an EKG with contrast. I think
All
is
right.
what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, this is contrast and it's really hot and it feels like your ass is on fire or something
Yeah, I
like
thought I
that.
pissed my pants. They put me in the scanner.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be the same thing.
Yeah.
Like they were like, "All right, you might feel a little heat, like you're gonna like you have to go to the
Yeah.
bathroom." And they rolled me into that thing, and
That's so funny.
I literally just pissed my pants. I was so embarrassed, and I was like, I 100% pissed my
I'm the
pants.
1%. I can't be pissing my pants.
I didn't piss my pants,
No,
but
I know,
I,
but you're
but
thinking about it.
yeah, I told the nurse afterwards. I was like, "Ah, I swear to God, I thought I peed. I'm sorry."
Sorry, I just gotta. Sorry, I just got a note at the window. It said, I'm a hostage. No, actually, it says I need a credit card. So I had to point to where it was. So, okay. So that was weird. I was like, what the fuck? I'm sorry. I got all sidetracked. What were we talking about?
No, you're good. I'm talking about
Oh,
the
the dye.
EKG or the
Well,
diet.
this one
Yeah.
was called it's a CTA with contrast.
Okay.
And they met and it was doing this measurement. And since I don't have insurance, but Ovadia is really cool. He writes the scripts for me and doesn't charge me because he's interested. He wants to help first responders. That's
Yeah.
all. He did 3,000 surgeries and realized he pretty much didn't need to do any of them. He just would have controlled what people were eating and the medications they were on. So he wrote a book called Stay Off My Operating Table. This is my guy now. It's crazy. I did his podcast the year before, and now I'm his freaking patient. I go, "Is that how you do it? You get us on the show and scare the hell out of us, and then now we sign up, friends for life." So he he was like, "Yeah, we got the medals out of you. Your score's still going up, and then let's do this heart flow. We'll find out if you got restrictions." So I'm part of Facebook as a group for everything. I'm part of the high cat club. It's like freaking 1,000 people that have crazy scores. But I see scores on there. Oh my God, everybody. I'm so glad I found this group. My score was 271. And I'm like, just watch your inflammation and certain numbers. I go and don't be so crazy about this. I'm walking
Yeah.
around with a freaking 5,000 number right now.
Right.
And then they're like, this guy's in advertising. He's just trying to sell stuff because they saw my testosterone thing when I went from 400 to almost 800 just by doing carnivore, 55. So when I was 49, I was 400. 55 is 800. So you tell me what's working. But they said
When did you retire? How old were you and what
I
year?
was 50, 2019.
Okay.
And I was about 6 months into keto, lost 50 pounds, and then I did carnivore when I retired. So
Yeah.
giving up the stress and then
Yeah.
COVID and meat based only, I lost all the freaking weight that
Well,
I.
and not only that, that would explain the testosterone score right there. So if you were 400 and you just retired or were just retiring, and then you get on better sleep, you're focusing on your health, you have time to focus on everything internal as opposed to all the external shit, that would make sense that it would at least go to 800. Like
Yeah.
when I was working mid shift, so our one of our night shifts, I was on till 3:34 a.m. and my testosterone score dropped to 120. And then when I got
Right.
off nights, just going back to day shift, it jumped back up to 500.
Okay.
It's totally reasonable. That
Well,
would be
think
the
about it. If you
yeah.
were, we're supposed to procreate, right? So when you're working nights and going against what your body's supposed to be doing, you're not going to be a very good
No.
candidate to mate with. So
Nope.
you're young are going to be weak ass. So you ain't going to get no action. But when you're well rested and you're
Yeah.
eating and you got that energy in you, it's attractive, it's positive, and you are almost like a magnet. You attract more positive people and some negative that happens. But that's one of the things that happened when I started getting my mind with the diet and going into more of ketones feeding my brain than those sugar crashes that I was going through on the carbohydrates. Yeah, and then when I'm sorry to get back to the CAC score with them telling me I'm going to die, we did the heart flow. So I go to Tennessee, $1,500. It's funny. If I had insurance, it's $12,000. If I pay out of pocket, it's 15. What's 20% of your deductible off of 12,000? Wow, that's pretty close to 1,500. They're getting their money, people. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Went ahead and it was $70 to start the day. So I went and did that and they did the whole thing. And the results are pretty fast. And it came back with the flow. And my worst artery, which is the Widowmaker, was 31% blocked. 69% flow was going through. So when you hear people, I'm 80% blocked, I'm 90% blocked, those are the people they want to stent up. They want
Yeah.
to go in there and open it up. Well, I'm at 31. So I'm like, all the people you're stenting are 80 and 70 all and above. I'm way down here on the flow. So I have no restriction
Yeah.
issues. Something else might get me, but it's not going to be that. And it's not popular amongst modern medicine. They don't like it. They think I should be on a statin that lowers now my LDL is 239, right? And total cholesterol is 331. And they want my LDL, them, under 40. So
Yeah.
I would have to lose 200 points off my LDL. What does dementia, does Alzheimer mean anything? What do you think is going on with our elderly? They're starving their brains. They're freaking killing them. So I was like, that's the only way to get my LDL down. And I don't care about my LDL to begin with, like we were discussing. So I look at the inflammation numbers, like 10 other my C peptides and some of the other stuff I look at. My body's operating great. I do have toxins. The Lyme disease is a bitch. I didn't know I really had it because I was heavy. I lifted all the time. I was always sore, always inflamed, but I thought it was alcohol. It's a combination of diet,
Right.
the high carbohydrate, stress, And I was active. I played basketball 3 to 4 times a week as a heavier dude, and that beat up my body. I was carrying around way too much weight. A knee replacement. Oh, yeah, you're gonna need it by the time you're 50, that whole thing. But guess who's doing squats now without any new knee? I'm not lifting tons of weight, but I could do a squat, dude. I can look at a plug and an outlet that I couldn't do when I was in my 40s without groaning or doing the one-legged Hania catching stance. So that's a name for the old guys. Yeah, it was amazing, dude. And it's just been this. I went over COVID. A guy I did a podcast with said, "Hey, you should go to school and get your like nutritionist license and become a trainer and help coach guys." So I was like, "Oh, I don't know a lot about that." So my wife tutored me because she's much more of the doctor nerd and knew how to pronounce all the amino acids that I was like, how do you say that? And I really took a deeper dive in it. And I still learn it all the time. There's new information coming out, especially in our world of people losing weight. But one of the things I'm really worried is our cops because of the statistics that are coming out, not only the suicides, half of us die within 5 years of retiring because we're fat, sick, and stupid. And then you're working so hard. You got to get money for the insurance. You got to pay your house off. The cop that I just was saying that killed a guy that came at him with a machete, he's got 5 years of the drop. He's already had cancer where they took his colon out. The department's not looking out after him, giving him like, you're in charge of fleet maintenance, even though he used to do that with the city before he was a cop. There's certain things you start to see as you're getting to the end. They're not taking care of you. You're used up. They can't say that. They can't get rid of you. They force you out either with a shitty routine or shitty job. And then you're just going to, after 5 years, I told him, I go, what are you going to do in 5 years? He's like, downsize to a condo. I go, do that now.
Yeah.
Your kids are out. You know what I'm saying? You just get stuck. I got to have the boat, the jet skis. I got to have this. And you're like, dude, if you get out of it for any amount of time, a couple of weeks, a month, and really look at your life and where you want to go and your own health, and you'll maybe change that journey. That's what we did. I'm driving around in an RV across the country, homeschooling my kids. I'm in Alabama right now. If you told me a Miami kid that was like on South Beach as a kid would be living in Alabama, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. And I love it. It's got lakes up there without gators in it. It's freaking great.
Yeah. Freaking dinosaurs.
I know.
So it sounds to me like you were forced to make a decision. So like you had your early life, right? Was I think it all compounded. So I'm listening to your story and how it's culminating now. And it's really interesting, but like your early life into police work, the shooting that you went through, and I think the shooting that you went through was obviously like compounded to the fact that you were shot as well. Like that,
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody looks at the differences between that. You were in a shooting, you engaged, you won, but you were also wounded. You know what I mean? You got hit with a bullet. That I think compounds how you deal with it afterwards a lot.
That's
And
a great point because we used to have something where we get 4 or 5 of us together and we talk to rookies, and
yeah,
all of us had been involved in something. One cop got shot. One guy was the canine guy that I was talking about that the dog died in the fire.
yeah,
And it was so therapeutic to be around those guys to talk about it. And we cried, and it was just like, wow, man, this shit's real. And I always told people what happened with me that day, it made police work real and it took the innocence away.
yeah,
We ain't playing fucking games anymore. At the
right,
time, yeah, we got to be careful in building search, domestic. You're going through the motions, you can die. You've seen it. But until you're actually in it, and now you know, you've seen the other side. And it's a whole nother level. And I remember during that journey having a second surgery in 2014 because I had some shit growing in there. I don't know if they forgot
mm,
half the bullet or what. And right before that surgery, we got to go out to Washington, D.C., and we were honored as National Officers of the Month for February. And Chris and I got to go to the officer, the dinners, and all the candlelight visual. And as honored as we were to be there, my mom was there, and we saw her friend that died in line of duty, and I was 12, which I never realized how much that traumatized me. But looking back, that did affect me that my mom's friend died. We getting shot on a robbery. You see her name on the wall, and then you take home from this amazing experience, but you also took all that trauma with you. I saw the cops' families there that didn't survive. I heard the crying. And so you bring this home like the survivor's guilt. So then that kind of buries you down too a little bit because now you're feeling guilty. Like, why was it me that survived? Or what could this guy have done? You just start self-analyzing everything way too much. And that's why when I run into New York cops, when I was still working, they're like, you're still on the job and you got shot? He's like, you would have been freaking tapped out the minute it
yeah,
happened. They're not going to deal with you. That is some of the things I think are better now that guys can hopefully talk about it more. But yeah, that was a rough little period then trying to navigate all that. And come to grips. Like you had said something about the different types of shootings,
Yeah.
and that's something I think is huge and goes overlooked a lot because we had a guy fighting with a cop trying to get his gun, so they both have a hold of it. And the guy losing the battle goes, "You got to shoot." To the other cops, "You got to shoot him. He could feel he's losing the grip. You got to shoot
Right.
this guy." So then that guy now has to make a decision. I got to shoot this guy. And then you're kind of like, execution? Or you're just going to shoot what's your thought process? They ended up shooting two cops, ended up shooting, killing the bad guy. And so they had that shooting. And then you got another guy that had his taser chasing a bad guy, comes around the corner. Bad guy pulled his gun out. Now you got a taser and he got shot in the stomach. So you got that trauma in there. So getting shot is totally different, which I know.
Yeah.
Mine was like the Hollywood one. Oh, off the arm, you'll be fine. But I can't jump around like I used to. They made me 4% disabled. Thank you. I bought half a truck. Thank you with my settlement. But yeah, that's why my truck's called Bullet because I took a bullet for it. So my kids named it. But yeah, it was just such a freaking aggravating process. And now my buddies have been in another shooting and now they just want to get rid of you after that. And they know it's a hassle and a huff. So it's
Yeah.
just,
I think that it's kind of like a car wreck. I remember it's actually the same mechanism as a car wreck, right? I remember when I was like 16, one of my buddies was driving and new driver, we're listening to Ozzy Osbourne or something on the radio, and he looked over, I said something to him, he looked over, didn't see the backup, boom, totaled his car. His head hits the dashboard. I remember it like plain as day now. His hair's stuck in there, he's bleeding all down his face. Everybody's fine, but he got all jacked up, wrecked his car. And for probably a year, I think every time I saw brake lights, I would be like white knuckle on the seat, right?
yeah,
And I remember after my first shooting, I felt like that, where I was like, oh, it feels like I'm bracing for impact, even though the impact, there's no way I'm gonna wreck, or there's no
yeah,
way, especially as a passenger, right? As a
yeah,
passenger is when I would get that visceral reaction. And for me, my first shooting, it wasn't like a huge deal. Like
yeah.
the dude pulled a gun on me, was running away, was pointing at me, and I shot him like two times. He fell down and he lived, and it was like no big deal. There was barely anything on the news. But oh, interesting thing. So when you were talking about yours and you seeing that on the news, when my name came out, they said it on the news, and I was like, oh, I want to hear what the news has to say about this. I was off on admin, and
Yeah.
like I said, it was no big deal. The dude lived, like he went to jail. It was like nothing.
Let's
But
see the spin.
but there wasn't really any spin because that was
Okay.
2012, so we were still pre-Ferguson, so
Oh
everybody's
yeah,
probably fine.
yeah,
And but they said my name, and my son was like 4, I think, at the time. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, he was 4 or 5, and we have the same name, so he heard his name on the TV
right,
and
yeah,
kind of looked at it, and I was like, oh, that was weird. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But yeah. So anyway, I remember feeling not as severe as you did with it, but really remembering, oh shit, this is real. Like the first party arm call that we went to, that, and we have those all the time. I remember my heart rate jumping way higher than it typically would.
yeah,
And I was like, oh fuck, this is a way bigger response than I'm used to. I felt like I was brand new again.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what it felt like. So I would imagine getting shot is probably the same as being in a real bad car wreck. It's
yeah,
probably the same
totally.
mechanism.
It's
So then,
trauma.
yeah,
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 yeah. You see it. That's why I try to tell people when they ask about cops. Is it only for cops? Like, no, man. It's just trauma therapy. We all
yeah.
got it. Like you said, it could be a car accident. And I was telling my kids the other day, they were like, Dad, how many bodies have you seen? And I'm like, because I'm trying not to let them be cops, but we started off with Nerf gun training, muzzle discipline. They can't be waving your gun around or showing it come around the corner because I take it. And over COVID, we played in a house a lot. I was retired. It was Nerf battles and BB guns, bow and arrows were going up the whole thing. And they already know how wacky I am, but I forgot where I was going because I started talking about Nerf guns because that's one of my most traumatic events is my son shot me in the face with a Nerf gun and I broke his gun. And that was one of the things when I started looking at therapy. My wife gave me the talk. So I got Nerf gun trauma, but I always talk about how the trauma can be absolutely so many different things. But when I answered them about the bodies, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't, there's a bunch in my head right now and the stories aren't good. I don't remember the good guy that rest died in his sleep. That's the guy that got jerked off and had a heart attack, and that's how we found him.
Right.
And my wife said, "Stop!" I'm like,
Hey,
"Oh,
they have.
I shouldn't have started with that one." So, yeah, it's pretty wild. Most people don't. They've only seen maybe a body at a funeral or something. That's a traumatic thing, dude.
Well,
Especially if you know it's in there. You're like, welfare check, and you see the flies, you're like,
Yeah.
there's a motherfucking body in here. And where is it?
Yeah.
Closet? Is it in the shower? Where did a guy blow his whole freaking body off with a shotgun? And it's okay, we're out of here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what the stat is, but it's like the average person will go through two or three traumatic events in their entire life, right? Their entire life. And most cops deal with two or three in a like a single rotation for sure, if not in a single shift. And like that cumulative response, like that cumulative just building of trauma over and over again. And everybody's different with where their thresholds are with their nervous system.
right,
So you have to be really aware, for one, of I'm real big on you have to bring these new guys in and set the frame appropriately. These are things that you will see a lot of dead people. You will see your friends probably shot or hurt in car wrecks or shootings or whatever,
right.
fights. Like you'll see it. You'll see your buddies getting carted off to the hospital on the job. That will happen. What else? You name it. But this is not fun playtime. This is not,
Right.
you're going to go straight to PIO. This is not TikTok Cop Central. Like these things set the frame for very poor mental health down the road.
Yeah.
And it just creates this frame of, oh, this is fun. This is cool. All of a sudden, that frame is shattered and there's no way to come back from it. And
Yeah, you're like a lab rat that they just put back out there in the wild.
yeah,
I
after
mean,
and
it's
after your structure is completely broken, now you have to rebuild the pieces of the way you saw the world. And it's I saw it this one way, and like you said, the innocence is kind of man, it's all gone now. It's to an extent your frame was really broken down, and that's really hard to come back from. That's very hard to come back from.
and you do. I was joking around with the fireman guy. I go, man, we should just do 10 years, make it a good
I
enough
agree.
profession that you can then springboard that into other avenues. And it could be training at school or it could be detective and all that. I'm just saying that constant grind like that. I saw enough trauma after 10 years and then I got shot.
Yeah,
So then I had all that to throw on top of it. And then you lose some cops, like you said. And then the part that I started realizing, like, especially looking after those kids who were on probation, getting into their houses, what freaking shitholes a lot of these people are growing up in, and you can't help them. It's this helplessness that's really hard to make a difference. And then you start arresting a bad guy, see him back on. That's back on the street. That's already frustrating. But when you see it affecting the people on a day-to-day basis, the sadness of it, no wonder we're freaking messed up after 30 years.
yeah,
And you're usually divorced. My two parents, my dad was a cop in the Air Force guarding planes and drinking as he did it. So he's a different cop back in 70. It was that's what you did. You drank, decompressed. So I got my mom as a cop, my dad's a cop. They've been married total 8 times. So you wonder, here I am coming along. You think I'm getting married in my 20s? I'm running for the fucking hills, dude.
yeah,
Losing half my stuff over and over again, like my dad did. I've been married once. I really worked hard on the marriage because I didn't want to fall into that. I had to understand my wife's day was just as important as my day. And I had to tell her some of the fucked up shit I saw. Not in detail, but just, hey, I had a rough day today. It was this situation,
yeah,
go take a shower, gonna cry it out or whatever. And she'd understand. And that's one of the biggest decisions is who your mate is gonna be.
yeah,
And are they gonna be there? Because she didn't ask for all this. She met me. I was a cool cop, 5 years in, had a house, pool table, and a jacuzzi. So she was like, "Oh, I like this guy. He's got a lot of things going on." But she didn't know what was coming with the package. And she was a trooper, and that's a big thing. You got to be able to communicate and talk and listen when they tell you shit's fucked up. Understand what they're saying because it means something to them. Whew, that's a good one too. That's another topic. All right, got the wife done. I'll send her that clip and she'll get all emotional and rub my back or something.
score some points.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like it, Sean Ryan, I think, said this a little bit ago, and he talks about PTSD, and he's one of the very few people I think has a good working knowledge of it, or at least articulates it.
yeah,
And he's, what do? You go through a shift, you do some shit, you see some shit, and then you have to compartmentalize, right? Because you got to go. One of the toughest things that I do is, especially now, I'm on a day shift, so when I get done. Like I go from, and it's not as busy, but still, we see dead people, we chase people, we had a SWAT standoff with a chick. This was several months ago now, but she came out with a knife, attacked our entry team, and I was on perimeter. I watched them shoot her, right? I watched them kill
yeah.
this lady. And totally justified. Good job. Everybody did exactly what we needed to do. She just tried to ambush us, and that was that. And
Well, that's traumatic too. You're just
but
supposed to see that and be normal.
so
You know?
so here's the thing for
Mhm.
me is that like we go through that, and then I wasn't involved, so I don't need any admin time. I just watched it, so then I don't get any admin time.
Yeah,
But then I got to stop take my stuff off, go off duty, go pick up my kids from school, go coach football, and go do all my normal stuff. That didn't even happen. And was it super traumatic for me? Not at the moment. No, I don't think so. I wasn't right there. It was crazy, but I've seen worse. But it's that stop start with no time for decompression whatsoever. And I don't care how tough you are, like you got to have a little bit of a buffer time between from the time you're changing roles from like cop, SWAT, whatever, firefighter, EMT. You need a little bit of buffer, especially when stuff is like pretty hectic or crazy or whatever.
Yeah.
And like we don't get that. It's just always a grind. It's a constant grind. It just never stops.
Yeah. And you just it builds. Think of it's a cup of or a pitcher of trauma. You just keep adding to it. And I just know we had a guy that did the 25 years with us with his drop. He had his Coast Guard money from working in the Coast Guard before he was a cop, so he had that retirement. And then he did school board for 6 more years and got the state retirement. So this cat left, I think he was 60, 3 pensions, dead at 65, heart attack. That's it.
Yeah.
Thanks for the money. I'm like, man. And both my grandfathers died of heart attacks, and or one was lung disease, but it's all metabolically being sick. But the one that's close to my mom's side that they say worry about, he died at 58 of exactly what I was suffering from. So obviously he was bigger and fatter. He was probably not really looking at his inflammation, his insulin levels. Country boy from North Carolina, and he died tying his shoes. They found him laying in his bed, all comfortable. And I'm like, I could hope at least to go out like that. I don't want to fall on my face, but that's how I'll go. I'll go out epic. I'll probably be taking a shit, fall forward, and I'll hit the toilet or I hit the shower or the bathtub like that one guy did in that old folks home. I had to step over all the blood. And you turn it off. You're like, I don't want to be like that guy. I had
Yeah.
a sergeant once, me and another rookie, we were taking a picture of this guy, blew his head off. He was doing it with the Polaroid because he had a little collection. At first, he thought it was cool to have pictures of the fucked up scenes. And that sergeant goes, don't do that fucking shit. One day that could be you sitting there and you don't
Yeah.
want these people taking photographs. And he's like, and it's never going to go away. It's like, it's fucking up here. He's one of these crazy fuckers. And I never forgot it. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's right. Cause I had taken some from car wrecks. Look at this fucking car. That was
Yeah.
kind of different. But yeah, he's right. You don't ever forget those. And it's not normal to see that. It is a human made occupation, whether it's fighting as a war, anytime you're killing or having to see some of the stuff we're seeing, it's not normal. I was on a podcast. I think there should be a bigger organization out there that we have our own VA hospitals out there for us for first responders. We pay enough of our taxes to why can't they have something in there? Not that's the best medicine, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but at least it will give a guy an avenue to go to seek mental health and something that's not going to be straight through his local doctor that's going to just prescribe him something to help him take the edge off. And it's not really going to get to the root cause.
Yeah.
And
Just
there's a whole bunch of
symptom
things.
trend.
Yeah. I mean, something, but
So, like a big takeaway that I'm getting from your story is just the toxicity of police life. You know what I mean? It is a very toxic profession. I don't care how you slice it. Like your sleep is destroyed, your stress is out of control. Like we already talked about, 2 to 3 traumatic events per shift at least. That all has an impact on your ability to make good decisions with food, your ability to, and then that's assuming that you have the information on how to eat and how to train and how to do that kind of stuff.
believe some of the stuff that we do as professional police officers in regards to we had a cop, you wouldn't think after a car chase, the bad guy gets arrested and you're taking his girlfriend back to the station that you would decide to pull off somewhere and go have sexual relations with this girl you just met.
Right.
You wouldn't think we would do that. And then the family's call, dispatch is calling you to find out where you're at. And then she accuses you of rape after you drop her off. So now you're spending 11 months in the county jail looking at a rape charge as a police officer. But yeah, that happened. He got acquitted because she just wanted to get busy with a cop, but he was fired.
Yeah.
But who does that? Dude, we just chased them in a car chase and now you're going to have sex with the girl on the way back to the apartment?
Yeah.
What is going through your mind?
What made that seem like a viable option? What?
He's a vet too. He was over in Afghanistan, and nothing against any of those guys that have seen trauma, but we take risks. And I think sometimes a lot of us are hunting that freaking, oh, I bet I could pull this off.
Oh, that's for
I
sure.
mean,
The way that the reinforcement and the dopamine system and all that wiring, it's like you ever seen the documentary Free Solo about the rock climbers?
is that that's not the guy that lost his arm and got,
No, no,
okay, okay.
this is a
No, I haven't
documentary.
seen it.
It's all all right, so this
It's too
documentary.
traumatic, dude. They're hanging there with no freaking ropes.
It's crazy. So they're climbing up like sheer faces of rocks with free solo, like nothing. Okay, nothing. And it's like they do these studies on these guys and they don't get excited. They don't get nervous, they don't get afraid, they don't get happy, they don't get sad. They're just like boom, like nothing shakes them. And they're like psychopaths. They're the same,
Wow.
right? They're the same. And
Pass a polygraph, become a boss. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. That's exactly true. So they just don't get nervous. So when they're like 700 feet up grabbing a rock and they have nothing between them and death, they don't get scared. It doesn't bug them. Like I would shit my pants after 10 feet up. I'm gonna die.
I wouldn't do it.
But yeah, so like we get rewired the same way. So I think about the first car chase that I was in on FTO, and I remember how just out of control my nervous system was. I was shaking. I wasn't even driving, right? I was just sitting there. And then afterwards, we're doing a felony stop, and I actually had my FTO that was like, "Hey, buddy, you can put your gun away now. Like we're done." And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I look like an
Still
idiot.
had it out.
And
That's a good story though. We all did
well,
that.
and but then and he even told me this at the time. He goes, "Dude, you'll get 5, 6 years into this shit, and you will be like texting your wife and like looking something on the internet while you're 3, 4 cars back. This won't be a big deal." And then fast forward 5 years, totally no. And
Yeah.
it's just that way that your neurotransmitters get rewired and your brain works. It just is rewiring it so that it's not as exciting, and you need a bigger hit
Yep.
in order to get that excitement. So what do? If we can't get it on the job, we're going to go out and gamble. We're going to go out and drink or do crazy shit, have
Yep.
crazy stories and cheat on your wife or bang the witness in this thing like that. Like
You
what
can't bang
the
the informant. Oh, no,
heck?
okay. Or take your police car to a Marlins game and tailgate. Who would do that?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's at what point did you think that this was a viable option? I think that needs to be looked into it. Like your neurology is not helping you. Not to say that it's an excuse by any means, but yeah, that people don't really talk about that. So
Yeah, it's horrible decisions. I had one guy, he was already under investigation for something, and then he's fooling around on his wife, and then his wife's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm leaving work." And she's across the street as he's leaving his mistress' house.
yeah.
And she's like, "You're not at work." And he took off. So now she's chasing the police car. And now there's a freaking accident up the road. So he blends in with the other police cars, turns his lights on, and loses her. And I'm like, this is your life, dude.
Yeah.
And this happens with a lot of us, not all of us, but there's some guys who are just living that freaking threshold, and that's going to kill you in the end, or get you indicted, or get you screwed over.
Yeah.
But yeah, the job is traumatic, and you got to seek other nature, outdoors, your diet. I've been getting a lot of guys lately that are on like the 10-hour shifts. I got them fasting, trying
Mm.
to fast through their shift and just do bone broth and coffee and not starving yourself, but just keeping yourself hydrated. And then eating steak and ribeyes or whatever you're into at nighttime and just getting your body right to work on itself. Because I used to try to feed the body all the time. I got to keep the metabolism going, got a
Mm.
protein bar, got a protein shake, all this stuff. And all that seem to do is wear out my digestive system. We're not supposed to eat like that. We're supposed to just eat and let your body digest it. And then it's supposed to be nutritious what you're eating. So you don't have to keep hunting all the time and trying to find something. That worked for me. I know that the whole carnivore thing's under attack, cholesterol and all that, but man, I've never felt better. I never thought been more focused. I'm nicer because I'm not hungry all the damn time because I'm actually eating satiation. I'm full and it
Yeah.
feels good. 5 eggs a day. I did a reel yesterday about what I have in the morning with my coffee and then lunch at the beach, boiled eggs, some cheese, and we had some olives. And then dinner was a steak with butter and salt.
Yeah.
And that's all you eat. Yeah. And
So
if I,
so a couple questions for you.
yeah,
Now I've played around with doing keto and carnivore and never really stuck with it
yeah,
for a few different reasons. But so like when I was getting into it and tracking ketones and that kind of stuff, I was really looking at Rob Wolf's stuff. And this was probably 2016, I think, something like that. So I took one of his master classes and was tracking my ketones and did that whole thing for probably, I don't know, 8, 10 weeks, something like that. And I didn't have huge noticeable results, but I do remember him talking about stress. So with high stress, he talked in that masterclass about listen, like you might have to add in some carbohydrates in order to help deal with the cortisol because like your insulin spikes, right? Or your insulin going up will actually reduce cortisol. So they're on opposite ends of the teeter-totter where, it's like workouts, right? So why do
Yeah.
carbs go well after CrossFit or high intensity workouts? Like you're going to optimize that carbohydrate use post workout because your cortisol is so high, so it's really going to be used effectively. So what are your thoughts on that?
I just made it simple. I eat till I'm full and I eat real food. And real food is a combination of whether it's real vegetables and I don't time like I work out on an empty stomach. I don't eat right afterwards, but I had a goal in mind. When I was 250 pounds, I was trying to lose like a pound or two a week slowly. And so I was really riding about 30 carbohydrates a day. And that consisted of avocados and then obviously the carbs that were within the cheeses and some of the other stuff, the
Yeah.
creams I was adding. And that worked great. I didn't realize how many carbs were in certain foods, so I started reading it. But in the end, just eating the meat, keeping it basic like that for me helped me lose the weight. Now, if you're already a fit guy, like right now, if I had to try carnivore or keto,
Yeah.
and I was already feeling like it would probably be weird and difficult for me because you're probably already eating pretty decent and your body can handle if you go out and have pasta and it's not the toxic pasta, it's maybe from Italy or some real nutritious stuff that's not filled with poisons, your body can process it. And I can do that now. I can go have a couple of slices of pizza as long as it's not too with too much stuff on it that could be affecting the meats and cheeses and the fish, all that stuff. I'm fine. My body gets rid of it and it moves on. But if I were to eat that way consistently, it would obviously cause more of the issues. So you're at if you want to do carnivore for a little bit and you wanted to shred some of the extra body fat, you could do that. I know a lot of bodybuilders that done carnivore to lean up, and these are cop guys. They're not professional.
Right.
They're like really ripped. And my thing is, I still got the loose skin from being 250 pounds that I'm having to fast longer to get it to start eating away autophagy, trying to get rid of it. So my goal is a lot different than what you're trying. If you're already in decent shape, just I would worry about the insulin levels. One of the best things I did, and I didn't think I needed, was getting a continuous glucose monitor,
Yeah.
putting that sucker on for 2 weeks or a month, and just looking. And I found like a Monster wouldn't affect my insulin. But then a couple of the other drinks skyrocketed. So I'm like,
Mhm.
well, what the heck does this one have that this one doesn't have? And then I see one chemical or one ingredient that's that's causing the spike.
Yeah.
And it's information. If
Yeah.
I'm ever nights time and I want to grab some, I'll grab the one I know is not as toxic. And those are some of the cool things you could do. Like you said, you're a one percenter. And I've just tried to, like I said, I'm in the best shape of my life at 55, and
Yeah.
I'm so pissed. I couldn't have been a cop at this weight. I would have, first of all, chased a lot more motherfuckers. I would have felt better in my uniform. I would have felt, I didn't look terrible, but I knew I wasn't at, you see a guy that's fucking squared away, and it's impressive. And you already know it's that command presence when you show up on a scene. The cop that's in shape, that's not an asshole, it's put together, you're going to instantly get respect. And then that can help you as long as you know how to talk to people. You don't have to beat them up all the time. And I'm finally at that point where I'm comfortable with my body, taking my shirt off, which I've always had an issue being a fat kid because there was always a guy that had ripped abs getting all the girls, and I had to get the leftovers. So now I'm the guy that can get the girl, and I'm married with kids, and it's like the end of the chase, but that's all good. I got my health back, and
Yeah.
but yeah, being a cop when you're in good shape and you're mentally squared away, it's not only going to help you write better reports, you're going to make better decisions. You may not push, you're not going to be as angry to freaking tune a guy an extra hit.
Yeah.
And you're going to go up
Exactly.
there,
Yeah.
you're going to get promoted and move up the ranks
Yeah.
because you're going to want to study this, you're going to comprehend it, and you're going to understand why do they have that policy? Oh, yeah, that's why, because it matches up with this whole you can't do this and that. And you got to seatbelt the guy because Frank didn't seatbelt that one dude, and that dude went through the police car windshield. So now we have to freaking seatbelt everybody. You're
Yeah.
like, now I know that policy. Yeah, I just I wish I could have mentored more guys with this way of eating to keep them from just getting divorced, having that high stressful like dopamine hit trying to chase shit all the time.
Yeah.
Even on duty, the shit magnets guys that finds them and then they find it. So they just get it all the time. Dude, one guy's got 3 deaths on his, that he's chased people and they've killed themselves, but they say it's his fault. Now he's trying to battle with the courts, get his job back. Because they fired him because he chased. Parents give a kid a motorcycle at Christmas, and then he wears a helmet and he's running around over town crazy. And they call the cops, and then the cops show up, and then they try to stop the kid, and the kid crashes and dies. We didn't know he's 13, so now it's a racial thing now. Like he was on a grant for that reason, the patrol for motorcycles. So he's doing the reason we had the So, that politics.
Yep.
But that's the kind of guy that keeps getting in the shit. And then he's going to die of a heart attack within 5 years of retirement because his body's just going to be collapsed because it's
Yeah.
exhausted. And he's not going to prep for retirement. You got to slow Mondays down. Mondays suck on retirement because you're already programmed from school, and Mondays had to flip around, dude. I had to say, we're going to the beach, we're going fishing, I'm going to go cold plunge in the lake today. I had to really work hard because Mondays were just a brutal day. It was the beginning of the shift week. It was the beginning of everything. The beginning of everything's due Monday or
Hmm.
whatever. It just sucked. But when you get out of it, you're like, Monday's a fucking awesome day now. I can do whatever I want. I can go to the gym, go to breakfast. I'm trying to take those days back that used to have such a bad Saturday's always awesome. Sometimes that's not. Sometimes
Yeah.
Sunday's cool. But anyways, sorry,
Yeah.
went on that day off
Uh,
tangent there.
no, man, I really like the way that you took carnivore and keto and have just used it as a way to get through that toxic, like mental health, physical health, performance, like all of that. And yeah,
Great, it's a great elimination diet
and
to
yeah,
start with and then build up.
absolutely. And honestly, like I'm a firm believer that all nutrition protocols are simply tools. You know what I mean? And you use the tool for the job that you need it to do. And if it's working, you keep using it. And if it doesn't work, then you have to reroute and redirect some things, you do it. I think that what's that the carnivore code doctor? Drawing a blank.
Saladina,
Saladino. So
yeah,
he's done a lot of stuff where he was like no plants at all, and then now some berries, now a little bit of
some
rice,
honey,
maybe
yeah,
some honey. You know what I mean? And then you're starting to satisfy all of Rob Wolf's previous things that he said with you might need some high carbohydrates if you're doing high intensity shit, just a
right.
little bit to dose it at certain points, and then you start looking at, and this is where it gets real nuanced and really cool if you're interested in it. But I've seen aerobic endurance athletes, like high like mileage dudes, and they'll stay in ketosis and they're getting 400 grams of carbs a day, but they're using it all post workout. So they're still using their ketones, but they're using it for performance purposes. So it's so specific. Nutrition is so specific for the tool that you need for the job you need. I use this reference a lot. So if I'm going to build an addition on my house, like I'm going to use a tool different than a carpenter, but
Right.
I'm going to use the tool. Like the tool has to fit the job. So
And you can eat carbs that aren't toxic too. If you want to get bread and all that stuff, my wife makes homemade sourdough bread. It has 3 ingredients.
yeah,
I can eat that all. I don't eat it
yeah,
all day, but that doesn't affect me. I can have a couple of slices with ghee butter, and I take a little of this garlic onion salt and put it on there. Man, that's just banging. And that's it. But if you're gonna carb up and you're eating the store-bought bread, then you're getting all those other ingredients. Your body's a filter. All that's
yeah,
going through your
and
body,
and
and it's gonna
and
settle somewhere.
And depending on how clogged your filter already is going to
Right.
dictate how much you can tolerate that or not. Like you already mentioned, like that's a real good way to look at it, like a filter. And Chris Kresser talks about that. Your body has an inflammation bucket and you can handle it until it starts overflowing. And then you're going to have issues. And your one issue might be acne, one issue might be hair loss, like
Right.
whatever. So,
Erectile dysfunction.
yes,
Here's your
absolutely.
blood pressure medicine, but then you need blood pressure for an erection. So here's your Viagra. And I'm
And
like,
then
oh,
then you're
okay.
then you're just whack-a-mole with symptoms. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the way we typically do things, which, there are better ways. But
And
dude, I hate to cut it short,
oh
but
no, sure. We've been talking a while, dude.
I don't want to cut you off, but I just looked at the clock. I gotta go.
Yeah, that's cool.
But where can people find more about you and what you're doing?
Sorry, I just knocked my antenna out. Or do you hear that?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, that was embarrassing. All right, so everything's pretty much at Keto 50. It's like Hawaii 50, but Keto in front of it. That was the name from the department, or copsandcampers.com. They're all on social media. Put one in, or the other in. And the documentary Cops and Campers on YouTube. So I have a YouTube channel. I'm trying to build. It's only 1,000 subscribers. I'm trying to put everything we do on there, from homeschooling to I've worked on farms since I was on a tractor driving it, chasing a steer on a farm one time. It should have been a reality show. Looking back, I'm like, man, some of this stuff's hilarious. But it's taking me outside my comfort zone with my boys, enjoying them, and really appreciating. I got in the kid game in my 40s,
Yeah,
and those little dudes are little rock stars. They saved my life, man. They challenged me to do parkour. One of my kids is a parkour wizard. I don't do that shit, but once in a while I'll try some. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna mess with that. But they keep me alive. I
yeah,
play tag with them. I play zombie tag, so I'm a slow zombie, and then I'll spurt and chase him down like I'm a Brad Pitt zombie or something like that. Kids are freaking awesome, man. I never realized it. I always thought kids are pain in the ass, but they're a pain in the ass if you can't be a parent. If you can't be with them and experience them, yeah, they're a pain in the ass because they want attention. They want love. and they want to learn and do things like their parents. I realize what a impactful thing I've done with my boys, and they've seen me managing the stuff that I've gone through. And they know it hasn't been perfect. Oh, we just camp all the time. No, they were there. They saw it. They felt it. And it's just been amazing. And if something happens to me and I'll make that 10 years, man, this last 5, 6 years will definitely have them. He went out strong. So yeah, I'll definitely get your address and everything.
Yeah.
I'll get one of these coins. If anyone is interested, I do give them out. Hit me up. It's a good cause. See, it's got a little cops and camera symbol on there.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's a good token for people, and it's good luck. A couple of people I gave it to got out of tickets because they showed it to the cop, and the cops, oh, what's that all about? And he's like, all right, I'll let you go. So it's not a guarantee, but might get the conversation started.
Yeah, yeah, dude, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And I would love to talk to you again because just hearing that last part, like we didn't spend a lot of time on cops and campers, but
Right.
I really am a huge advocate of transition points in life, and you handled yours really well. Other people don't handle them well, and that's when we hit that 5 year mark and then we croak. So
Right.
being able to transition to and from different chapters of our life is so critical. And I think that if you'd be interested, I'd love to talk to you more about
Yeah.
just the cops and campers. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We have an event in July. If anyone's near Ithaca, New York, look it up. You can come out there and hang out with us. And I hate to say this, but we do take donations. And if anyone wants to sponsor an RV for somebody one day, or we do keep it in a kitty to help pay for people that need it. So we do stuff like that. So if anyone's interested in that. So thanks you, man. Awesome. Thanks for having me on. And it's nice that you 1%ers can help us 15%ers get up to your level. But I
It's
actually
all,
got the
yeah.
1% on here because it turns out I'm 0.0001% with my CAC score.
Yeah.
I'm even better than the 1%ers, which usually isn't a good thing. Not with the heart.
All
Okay.
right.
All
All
right,
right,
man.
man. I will be in touch with you and yeah, stay safe and thank
All
you
right,
again.
man. Thank you. All right,
Yep.
bud. Later, bud.